If you've ever drained a 64-foot putt to win the U.S. Open, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We kick off a new week here on June 16th. It's actually going to be a truncated week because of the Juneteenth holiday on Thursday. And my spidey senses tell me that Friday is going to be extremely low volume, as many market participants are also not around on Friday, and turn this into a 4-day weekend. So we got a truncated week coming up here. We're going to go over everything. We're going to get you ready. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have another good week. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for Monday, June 16th, starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope you all had a wonderful and relaxing weekend. I know I did, and boy, oh boy, if you watched the golf tournament, you got treated. You got treated on Sunday. We got some NBA today and some NHL tomorrow in the evening, but first, we're going to make sense of the market and put some green arrows on our dashboard there. Bag collector, good morning. A little early today. Hey, better early than late. And remember, a lot of us work on Lombardi time. So if you're 15 minutes early, you're actually late. Good to have you here. Welcome back. Paul, great to see you again, as always. Mama Bear, morning, playing the Lynx at Greystone today. What state? I'm going to have to look that up. Congrats. You're playing golf on a Monday, so you're obviously winning pretty well there. Good morning, Mama Bear. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Pete, locked in. Welcome back. Syrian, Shrian, I think is probably how it's pronounced. Let me know if I'm getting that correct. Good morning. Welcome back. Tanya, good morning from Florida. How's the weather in Florida? You all warm down there? Welcome back. Yassine, great to see you again. Welcome back. Bernhard, welcome back. Charles, welcome back. Palantir was up in overnight trading. It's up again here today. Where is the top in Palantir? Nobody knows. I'm sure we'll take a look at that here this morning. Sean, good morning. Welcome back. Great to see you again. Zach McCracken, welcome back. Good to see you again. Jane, good morning. Back from the beach and ready to get back to my routine. Hopefully you enjoyed the beach. Was it enjoyable? Was it awesome? What was the coolest thing that you saw? Welcome back, Jane. Good to have you. Dave Trader, good morning. Welcome back. The producer locked in, even though he's a little tired, he's ready to go. Day Trader, welcome back. Good to see you. Yeah, so fine. Welcome back. Get to the choppa. I absolutely love it. Welcome back. Jay Harris, Dan, welcome back. Ed, welcome back. Sun-kissed Yogi, welcome back. Good to see you. Jay Harris, welcome back. Mom Bear says Rochester. Okay, Greystone and Rochester. I'll look that up. Go low today. Enjoy. VK, good morning. Cam, good morning. Ryan, good morning. Paulo, good morning. Monica, good morning. Javon, good morning. Gabriel is back. Let's go. JJ, good to see you again. Sean SMG. There's two Seans now. That's okay. It's twice as nice. This Moj, welcome back. Okay, beach was awesome. Nesting osprey and hanging with my kids was the best part. A nesting osprey. I don't even know if I've ever seen that. Awesome, Jane. All right, folks, let's go ahead and dive right in. Actually, today, there's not like a whole lot of news from over the weekend. We'll absolutely take a look at Palantir here and all of that. There's not a whole bunch of news, but we do have a special guest coming up here in a little bit, so that should be fun. Looking forward to that. Tyler, good morning. Eric, good morning. 3D, good morning. Tommy, good morning. And Roxy, good morning. Hello, Nikolai, good morning. All right, let's take a look at the SPY chart here and get rolling. SPY chart here, I'd like to see something happen here. And what I mean by that is I'd like us to either really move up or move down. We're basically still in this sideways formation. I know there's been a lot of like back and forth going on, so maybe I'm asking too much. We're really just kind of straddling 600 here, but I would really like us to try and make a move towards some of these highs to see if we can actually set some new all-time highs. I'd rather do that, obviously, than break down, but if we do trade down, we have some pretty good levels to watch for. The 393 to the 593 to 595 level is still going to be intact, and you can see here that the 20-day is at 593.68. So we'll see if that's support here today. If we move down, if we take a look inside here in the pre-market, we popped out of the open of the pre-market, and we've actually resolved a little bit higher here as well. So to me, it certainly seems like the market wants to trade higher today. We'll see if it has the strength to do that. Now, oh, you know what? I might have, hang on a second. Let me get that in here. There we go. Okay. Now, let's take a look at some of the news here, and then we'll go back and take a look at some of the charts. We'll go to Palantir as soon as we hit this first news story here. Excuse me one second. Okay. Let's do this first news story, then we'll take a look at Palantir. U.S. stocks likely to rebound after a sharp decline amid the Israel-Iran conflict. Iran retaliated against Israel's Operation Rising Lion, which began on Thursday, following which President Trump issued a stern warning to Iran. He stated that any attack on U.S. forces or land would be met with unprecedented military response. That was in a Truth Social post. Now, I haven't seen anything over the weekend for any of that. I'm obviously keeping my eyes open, but I was out and about this weekend, so if I missed something, I guess that's possible. Also was reading last night that Iran had reached out to Putin for help. Putin had talked to Trump. Trump basically said, no, we're not going to restrain Israel. And Putin called Iran back and said, yeah, you better make a deal because you're getting wrecked. And doesn't look like it's going to get any better here. So Trump was talking about a potential deal as well. We'll see if any of that materializes. That would be the best thing for everybody. So fingers crossed on that. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.43%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.97%. So it's good to see that those aren't climbing any higher than that, or aren't climbing any higher at the moment. Really quickly, it is worth mentioning that Restoration Hardware saw a huge move on Friday. We talked about that one being a pretty good earnings winner. That was actually an earnings winner before to the downside when that really got smoked. I know there were a number of people that were trading that. Robert, I think you were on that one, if Robert's here yet this morning. All right, let's go into some insights here. I found pretty interesting. As major U.S. equity benchmarks fell on Friday due to heightened tensions between Israel and Iran, LPL financial analysts of 25 wars over 7 decades suggest long-term gains for the S&P 500 index. I'm sorry, one second. Okay, sorry about that. Jeff Buchbinder, I hope I pronounced that name, Bookbinder, chief equity strategist at LPL, noted, assuming no imminent recession, which is LPL Research's best case scenario, history shows that markets are roughly flat over the next month following these geopolitical economic shocks, but frequently move higher over 3, 6, and 12 months period. In the case of an event near a recession, such as Iraq's invasion of Kuwait in 90 and 9/11, stocks have almost always moved lower in the subsequent 3, 6, and 12 months. Ed Yardini from Yardini Research said the S&P 500 is now in the middle of the Middle East and advised investors buy the dip. Now, this is interesting because we've actually heard from Tim Melvin on a lot of anecdotes in the past on how some of these folks really kind of made their money. And he's told us that when we see a war dip like this, this is viable. We talked to Anne Marie last week. Seemed like Anne Marie even assigned a timeline, a potential timeline, I should say, for all of this. And we're kind of at the end of that, right? I think it was 72 hours. Or so. So it looks like there are several people suggesting that we buy the dip. The market looks up here. The market is certainly off the lows from when this all started. So we'll see if that continues here. Some pretty interesting comments here. Quote, we anticipated this development in last Thursday's quick takes and recommend using any sell-off in the stock market as a buying opportunity. So this is one of the things I want to immediately throw to the group here. Where do you folks land on this? Are you folks thinking that this is a buy the dip opportunity? Are you looking for something specific? Are there specific stocks that you're looking for? Are you kind of just waiting? Let me know. And let me know how you're actually handling that. Conversely, Louis Navalier of Navalier and Associates highlighted a significant market concern. Quote, the primary fear is that the fighting spreads to other countries and U.S. military bases in the region, end quote. Now, again, this is a lot of what Trump was saying here, like, you better not do this. Marco Rubio said the same thing. So that's definitely something that we want to watch for. But as I had mentioned, haven't seen any of that so far. So fingers crossed on all of that. Meanwhile, Nagam Agora from the, Aurora from the Aurora report maintained that Israel-Iran war is not a risk. Not a risk. Stock futures are mostly unchanged this Sunday evening. Right or wrong, so far investors are believing Israel-Iran war is not a risk. See the chart. And this is kind of where I'm at. You know, we talked about this being a potential buy the dip. Unless this really escalates, I don't really think that this is necessarily going to spook our market too much. Now, the one caveat that we did talk about last week was going to be energy, right? We saw oil spike at the start of this. There were threats of the Strait of Hormuz being closed. From all reports, both on TV and everything that I can find on Twitter, there is absolutely no change in the traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. So as a result, it looks like oil prices coming in about 1% here this morning in the pre-market. We'll see where they finish up. This is one thing to definitely watch for. If oil continues to trade higher or this conflict escalates and has more of an impact on oil prices, that's something that definitely could affect our market because that bleeds into rate cuts, inflation, and all of that other stuff, especially as we start getting the next inflation print, which is supposed to really be inflationary because of the tariffs. Now, I say wait and see on that, but the reality is, if we have spiking oil underlying that, that actually could be a problem. We've discussed on this show how oil has actually been deflationary recently and how that's really helped. But again, we'll see how this all shakes out. Now, I want to do the next story here, and then we can actually take a look at some charts because Palantir obviously has been responding to this. Next one here is going to be the U.S. economy to face pretty limited impact from the Israel-Iran airstrikes with only a tiny bit of recession risks. That's per economists here. So although potential risks remain, the U.S. economy's current outlook appears relatively stable. Market Watch reported, I think the risk to the U.S. economy is relatively small. That's David Seif, chief economist and developed markets at Nomura. Quote, recession risks are higher, but only by a tiny bit, end quote. Stephen Stanley, chief economist at Santander U.S. Capital Markets, shared similar sentiment, stating that, quote, the fallout to the U.S. is pretty limited, end quote. Analysts at Lazard Geopolitical Advisory cautioned if Iran feels its legitimacy is under threat, it may exploit strategic positions near the Strait of Hormuz, a vital route for global oil and liquefied natural gas shipments, potentially triggering major economic disruptions. So again, as far as like setting up trades based off this news flow, I think this is one of the key words or the key aspects of this particular conflict that we should focus on. If we learn that the Strait of Hormuz is being closed, there's a battle over it, whatever it is, that's likely going to affect oil and liquefied natural gas prices, and we're likely to see that impact in some of these stocks. Now, is it going to be, hey, we should short these, we should go long these? We'll wait and see. But those are going to be some of the stocks that we should take a look at if any of this changes. Right now, again, knock on wood here, seems like it's all quiet on the Western Front. That could change at any minute. So that's definitely something to keep our eye on. Despite these potential risks, however, the U.S. economy's vulnerability to the conflict is primarily through the price of oil, particularly if it crosses $120 per barrel. Economists believe that oil price run-up is unlikely if the conflict remains localized between Israel and Iran. Additionally, the U.S. economy dependence on overseas oil is less significant today than it was a decade ago. This means that while U.S. consumers may face higher gasoline prices, it may not have a clear negative impact on the macro economy. I tend to think that if oil prices go up and stay inflated, that actually is going to be bad. But again, we'll see how bad, and we'll see if this ends up happening here. The recent conflict between Israel and Iran had a notable impact on the global financial markets. The Dow fell over 700 points on Friday following Israel's surprise airstrike on Iranian nuclear sites. Despite this, the CNN Money, Fear, and Greed Index showed a decline in overall market sentiment, remaining in the greed zone. Meanwhile, President Trump has warned Iran of unprecedented U.S. military action in case of an attack on U.S. forces or land. Trump clarified that the U.S. had no involvement in Israel's recent attack on Iran and expressed hope for a peaceful resolution between the two nations. There's been more talk of deal-making and diplomacy ending this war over the weekend. Israel's recent airstrikes in Iran have also resulted in the death of 9 Iranian scientists, adding to the series of successful operations by Israel aimed at Iran's nuclear program. This incident follows a decade-long targeting of Iran's nuclear program by the Mossad. Now, we talked a little bit about oil there, and how the results of all of this can actually bleed into the oil market, and then what stocks that would impact. But there are some other stocks that I think we can take a look at right away. And the first one here, you folks are already on it, which is great. First one here is going to be Palantir. We shared last week a amusing tweet that I had seen out there, that Iran is going to find out why Palantir trades at a 300x multiple. And indeed, it does seem like Palantir Technologies, at least the market, is rewarding Palantir, as Palantir Technologies are probably being used in this conflict. Here's a look at the Palantir pre-market chart. You can see we closed here at 137.40, and we're up 3 points now, 140.53 here in the pre-market. Palantir looks like it's going to continue to go. We take a look at the daily chart here. This looks like a clean break to new highs here, new all-time highs, blue sky breakout, if you go by that nomenclature. So if you're long Palantir, giddy up. You're just printing some more money here. Here's the reality. I cannot justify a fairly decent long trade on here. It just feels like chasing. Now, that isn't to say that you can't make a long trade on here and win. I'm sure that you can, but it's just at this point, where everything's at, you just kind of want to reset here on Palantir. Now, I think we're actually, if this pops higher and closes higher, we're going to be in extreme overbought territory again on the Williams percentile and again on the RSI. So I'm in a holding pattern here with Palantir on new trades. I'd love to see this regress back to the mean, but it's just not showing any signs of that. Furthermore, I also, thanks to the producers, was a really good spot. Producer mentioning that Stephanie Link was already on CNBC earlier this morning saying that cybersecurity stocks she's very bullish on them. I think, and again, I'm just going off of what the brief conversation I had with the producer this morning. So I could be wrong about this, but I believe that she said that the cybersecurity could be a bigger theme than AI. Now, I'm not there. I don't agree with that. Maybe it's because I started watching the Alexander Wang podcast last night, which is pretty much all about AI. We are in the infancy of AI. AI is going to get a lot bigger. It's going to have a lot more of an impact on a lot of different stocks and sectors within the market. So I have a tough time seeing cybersecurity being a bigger sector than that. However, I too am very bullish on cybersecurity stocks. I know we've spent a lot of time on this program talking about Palo Alto Networks, PanW, CrowdStrike, CRWD, and then also some others, Net. We've talked about Rubrik a little bit, and we also talked about that Voyager IPO, which I am still in. I added a little bit on Friday. We're swinging that into this week. I'd love to be able to take gains. That's up a little bit here in the pre-market. So we'll see how many cybersecurity stocks actually get a move on this. We'll see if we get any good buying opportunities on there. I can't end saying nat gas looks volatile. Nat gas is volatile. It's often volatile. I actually earned the nickname the Widowmaker. So we're unsurprised to see that. Ryan here saying, I bought Friday. Okay, awesome. Good stuff there. I was a week off on Palantir. Okay, and then here, thank you, producer, for confirming this. Yes, she, as in Stephanie Link, said she thinks cybersecurity could be bigger than AI. Only time will tell. I get where she's coming from. I really do, especially because I'm also bullish on cybersecurity myself. But I mean, it's just hard for me to say that anything here is going to be bigger than AI. maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment. The AI revolution, we've heard a lot about that, this, that, and the other thing. We'll see how it shakes out. I actually think you're going to get a lot of dovetailing between cybersecurity and AI, but that's another story. AI and healthcare would be another dovetail I think you might see in there. But again, another story. So Palantir here, we can watch some of the option flow. This actually might be a pretty decent stock to take another look at for a potential options trade with Anne-Marie. Maybe we're just going to get to some type of exhaustion zone here where Palantir actually makes a pullback. I will say if the market does start to contract and pull back on its own, I would imagine Palantir would absolutely be a part of that. But tell you what, hard to jump in front of a train with huge forward momentum. This thing has not been an easy short. I'm sure there's been a lot of shorts that have been blown out on this one. So we'll take a look here on Palantir. Really quickly, I want to cover this. We talked about this a little bit last week. Taking a look at Bitcoin here in the pre-market, holding at 107,000 on the futures chart. So it did come back from some of its overnight lows, but Bitcoin hovering at about 107,000. Short seller Jim Chanos reiterates Michael Saylor's strategy premium is unsustainable, warns Bitcoin or arbitrage, quote, not a static trade. Again, we had talked about this back and forth. Basically, Chanos said that what Saylor's doing is not sustainable. Saylor says that Chanos doesn't understand. And these two guys go back and forth. Veteran short seller Jim Chanos defended on Sunday his strategic arbitrage trade of shorting strategy while going long on Bitcoin. Nobody took this one, right? Nobody took short strategy, long Bitcoin when we talked about this before, the Chanos arbitrage, as they're calling it here. Let me know. As he continues to attack what he thinks is an unjustified premium on the stock relative to its Bitcoin holdings. Chanos took to X to highlight the dynamic nature of the strategy, one that involves investing the portfolio allocation based on market conditions and performance. Quote, you do realize that the MNAV arb trade is not a static trade, right? End quote. He said in response to remarks by ex-user Arbitrageur. Okay, cool name, bro. If Bitcoin / share increase over time, you have to buy more Bitcoin per share of MSTR to be properly hedged. The user had found fault with Chanos' position, stating that the premium may collapse to the net value of Strategy's Bitcoin holdings. The Bitcoin per share will be far larger than it is now. He's basically saying that even in a worst case scenario, Bitcoin's going to be worth more, so it's not really going to hurt the stock. Jim Chanos arguing with that. I really want to I'd love for Saylor to go on Rogan, but I think what I would love even more if Saylor and Chanos could go on Rogan together and kind of duke it out. That would really be something. That would definitely be worth listening to. For the curious, Bitcoin per share is how much more Bitcoin an investor indirectly owns for each share of MSTR. Bitcoin yield is the metric that measures the percentage change in the Bitcoin per share. According to the MSTR tracker, this year-to-date Bitcoin yield was 17.1% of this writing. I'm pretty sure that Michael Saylor talks about that quite often. Chanos and Strategy co-founder Michael Saylor have been attacking each other's trading strategies. In a recent interview, Saylor said that Chanos doesn't understand Strategy's business model, adding that unlike Trust, Strategy can employ corporate maneuvers such as selling preferred stock to neutralize strategies recommended by Chanos. Chanos deemed these remarks as complete financial gibberish. He said that Saylor's approach is built on the false premise that the market would continue to value MSTR at a premium to its net asset value, thereby betting that the bubble will burst someday. I'm very wary about this. Bubble will burst someday, or something will moon someday. That entire thing seems more like hope than strategy, but that's just me. Jim Chanos has been doing this for a lot longer than I have. Strategy has been the market leader in Bitcoin's corporate adoption, Bitcoin building its reserve with proceeds from common stock, preferred stock, and convertible bond issuances. The firm held a stash worth $62 billion as of this writing, according to BitcoinTreasuries.net. At the time of this writing, Bitcoin was exchanging hands at 106.6. It's actually 107 now, so slightly over this. And Strategy closed higher by about 0.82. Our proprietary rankings here: strategy positive, short, medium, and long trend with a very high momentum score. That should surprise exactly nobody. Let me know, did anyone take any of this trade or anything like that? I don't think so. Jay Harris saying AI will be the next cybersecurity. Like I said, I think those are going to dovetail quite a bit there. What's the view on buying this NBIS dip? Let me add NBIS to the list when we do ticker time. We can absolutely take a look at that. Nathan, no problem at all. Good morning, DCL. It's great to see you again. Okay. Why is China buying so much gold? What do you think, EKS? I would imagine that they're trying to corner as much of the precious metal market as they can. That would be my guess on that one. Speaking of metals, it's not a precious metal, but speaking of metals, this is the last news story that I have for you today, and then we'll go to our guest as well as ticker time for the remainder of the pre-market here. Trump approves Nippon Steel's $14.9 billion bid for U.S. Steel. President Trump has given the green light to Nippon Steel's $14.9 billion acquisition of U.S. Steel. This concludes an 18-month journey marked by union resistance and dual national security assessments. Trump signed an executive order on Friday permitting the merger to proceed, contingent upon the companies reaching an agreement with the Treasury Department to address national security concerns, as according to a Reuters report from Saturday. The companies confirmed they have signed the necessary agreement fulfilling Trump's conditions and effectively securing the merger's approval. The agreement includes a commitment to invest $11 billion by 2028, along with governance, production, and trade commitments. Nippon Steel will acquire a 100% stake in U.S. Steel, as stated by the spokesperson from the Japanese company. However, details regarding the golden share promised to the U.S. government remain unclear. This share is intended to provide the government with veto power over significant decisions concerning U.S. Steel, according to Senator David McCormick, the Republican from Pennsylvania. The report also noted that Nippon Steel plans an additional $3 billion investment for new mill post 2028, new mill post 2028, excuse me. The acquisition positions Nippon Steel to benefit from U.S. infrastructure projects while avoiding hefty breakup fees and tariffs faced by foreign competitors. The approval of the acquisition marks a significant shift in U.S. Steel's industry landscape. Initially, President Trump had blocked Nippon Steel's acquisition attempt due to security concerns, leading to a partnership instead. This partnership was projected to create 70,000 jobs and inject $14 billion into the U.S. economy. In a strategic move to secure the deal, Nippon Steel pledged to invest $14 billion, up to $4 billion for a new steel mill. This was part of a broader strategy to win over the Trump administration. Moreover, the U.S. government will maintain strategic control over U.S. Steel through the golden share arrangement, granting it veto power over key operational decisions. This ensures that the U.S. retains influence over the steelmaker's future. Additionally, Trump doubled the U.S. tariffs on imported steel to 50% in a bid to protect domestic jobs, while endorsing the sale of U.S. Steel to Nippon Steel. This tariff hike is seen as a measure to revitalize the American steel industry. Now, I will say I didn't do any trading here on X throughout all of this. I think some of you did. I think we talked about this initially. I didn't trade any of this. I sat this one out, but we'll see if we get another opportunity going forward. Okay. So let's see. Okay. It is just about 8:30. I know we normally don't have a guest in the pre-market on Monday, but today is our lucky day. Let's go ahead and bring on Tom Gentile. Let's give him a warm welcome here on Benzinga's pre-market playbook. Tom, good morning. Happy Monday. How you doing, my man?
Hey, Ryan. Good to be here.
Likewise. Again, you have really good timing because the news flow wasn't great over the weekend. So this is going to be a good discussion anyway. First of all, just to start off, can you tell our viewers who you are and where they might recognize you from?
Well, how much time you got? Yeah, I like to tell people I've been in this business longer than I haven't. So I started trading back in 1986. Long before the technology we have today. I remember running to corded phones to make trades.
Yeah.
I was doing it part time while I was working, like many of us do, and realized that as we're coming up on 1987, I actually started at the gate doing really well, not knowing a thing, and so that was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me. But considered my age back then, which was 21, I was easily able to adapt. 1987 blew out my entire account. Decided what was I going to do with this? Am I going to just go back to my job and forget this because it didn't work, or do I want to try to really figure things out? And that's what I ended up doing. So here we are, fast forward, 35 plus years since then, and now I am what I call a rules-based trader. So rules-based pattern
Mhm.
trader, meaning that I don't look at hype, I don't look at fear, I don't look at greed,
Mhm.
and I'm not a day trader either. That's just not my sandbox.
Real quickly, what is your typical time horizon for your trades if you're not a day trader?
Yeah, I'm more of a 30-day guy.
Okay.
20 to 40 days is what I like to look for. Almost like an income type of strategy. But obviously, I use not only stocks, ETFs, options as well, and I do a little crypto too.
Okay, hey, our group loves to hear that. Crypto is really popular. It sounds to me like you're more of a swing trader than anything else, or at least
Yeah.
a similar time horizon to a swing trader than anything else. Okay, were you formally trained in college or anything like that?
No, no, college dropout actually. And apparently that seems to be kind of an in thing now. But back then it wasn't. My parents weren't exactly thrilled that I dropped out
Can
of
imagine.
college. But I ended up. I really was just looking for that. To me, college was like, and at the time, I think college is great. I think it's great for people that have an idea of where they want to go. I did not.
Mhm.
I was actually in computer science, and I ended up dropping out and going to work for a retail firm. And my idea was to get off the floor and get into the IT department and really learn by doing. That's the same thing I did at Wall Street. I quit my job, and it was a good one too, as an IT director for a S&P 500 company to move to New York, get a studio apartment, live off nachos and cheese, and I had an $8 an hour job as a as a runner down in the American Stock Exchange.
That's unbelievable. I mean, I think we've all lived off mac and cheese or something like that at some point. So
Yep.
totally get it there. Okay, can you tell us a little bit about your trading style now and what's made you successful?
Yeah. So I graduated from one style to another, and I think
Mhm.
everybody starts out in that area where they don't know what they don't know. And once I got into that area, I became a discretionary trader. A discretionary trader is, I think probably the worst thing I did back at the time was I'm watching Financial News Network and I'm listening to the guy that has the biggest mouth on the screen, and I'm basically taking that, throwing my account 100% into one thing and watching it fall. And the day that actually happened was October 19th, 1987, which was the stock market crash. One of the biggest days on record, probably still
Mhm.
is on a percentage term. From there, I started looking at fundamentals. And fundamentals, I was looking at investors. I think it was Investors Daily, Investors Business Daily.
Mhm.
And from there, I'm looking at fundamental analysis, which is great if you're an investor. But until just recently, to me, if you were going to be a trader, you were going to be looking at technicals. You're going to be looking at charts, and you were going to be looking at indicators to try to predict the future. And so the problem with that is that, I remember, and we all have had this aha moment. With me, it was stochastics, where I took a look at stochastic and I went, wow, this is fantastic. I don't need to learn anything else. I'm just going to use this. And I didn't realize how lagging it was. And by the time I got into something, it was already, that move had already been.
Mhm.
So fast forward to rules based. And so what I do now is I take indicators that I think are tried and true. I research them, I back test them, I forward test them, and I actually create an objective set of rules around some of my favorite volume and volatility based indicators.
Okay, can you tell us what some of those indicators are?
Well, yeah, I like when you look at seasonal patterns. there's basically about, I think, arguably, there's basically about five. So you have trend-based patterns.
Mhm.
I love regression trends. I even love simple things like simple moving average crossovers is a good way. That's a good way for someone to get into when a short term crosses above a long term. There's a
Mhm.
buying opportunity.
Mhm.
Now you pair that up with something else, because a lot of times something like that can't be the end all reason to get into or out of a stock. Maybe you've got some other things that are happening too. There are contrarian systems. Elliott wave theory is one that I follow. That's a tough one because it has so many rules. You really got to strip away like 80% and use the 20% that work 80% of the time. Volatility-based patterns like your Bollinger Bands are a great one to look at for statistical volatility. But I look at implied volatility off of options. And then there are seasonal-based strategies, which I really like because although someone could say, well, yeah, that lags by a year if you're looking at a
Mhm.
pattern that happens once a year. It might do that. But if you're going back 10 or 20 years and you're finding patterns that worked from, say, today, June 16th, going forward, give or take a few days over the last 20 years, you find a pattern that works 90% of the time. I don't think it's lagging data. I think it's seasonality. And that's something that I really gravitate to.
Okay, that's really, really exciting to me because seasonality has actually been something that I've tried to add to my toolbox somewhat recently because it's really kind of helped me make sense of some of the trading setups that I have. And what you were just saying there, you kind of talking about marrying that to other indicators that you're looking for, whatever they may be. Here's one that I actually talked about a little bit both in the morning show and the happy hour show that I do at the end of the day. That was a monster winner based primarily off of the seasonality that you just talked about. Eli Lilly, which has been an absolute monster, obviously well known for the GLP-1 angle that has really kind of sent this stock to the moon. This stock traded into this purple line here, which is a 500-day simple moving average. I was thrilled to hear you talk about simple moving averages. These are some of the things that I use the most and have the most reliance on. Eli Lilly was sitting right down here in a 730 handle there, about pretty much wherever you got it, sitting right at a support. And we were talking about this in happy hour, and one of the guys that also pays attention to seasonality said, hey, really, really high seasonality here for the next month on Lilly. And it lines up really, really well with a nice spot on the chart. So we were basically marrying these two data points together. You can see this stock has just made a tremendous move off of that 500. Actually found some resistance at the 50-day, which is the yellow line, recaptured it, blew away from that, consolidated a little bit at the 100-day, and now here testing the 200-day. We have a possible break above 826 here. This, when it's all said and done, could be a 100-point move. And using the seasonality to kind of get into this along, coupling it with this spot on the chart has really kind of paid dividends. So is this the type of thing that you're trying to do on a regular basis?
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. You bring up Eli Lilly, and we were looking at a lot of the GL1P
Mm-hmm.
stuff too over the last couple of years because it just, these things they tend to get overhyped. I find that go back and uh, look at plant-based meals for a moment. You want to talk about plant-based companies, and those, when you see everybody talking about the same subject, it's typically overbought. That's where I'll go in and I'll start looking at, like Beyond Meat.
Mm-hmm.
You start looking at seasonality that plays off to the downside. And we found a lot of those to the downside, but I have also traded Eli Lilly to the upside based on seasonal. So you're spot on, but I don't like, I can look at seasonals that are, 3 or 4 days in length. I don't like those because I think a 3-day trade is not a seasonal. I think it's a hiccup. To me, a seasonal trade is something that's going to be in that 30 to possibly 60, 90-day category. We find quarterly seasonals as well. But now we're getting kind of outside of my realm. I mean, for me, I'll look at 20-day to 30-day seasonals, especially
Mm-hmm.
in the market we're in right now. I'm expecting a really great summer, and the only thing that could cause a hiccup on that would be maybe the geopolitical events that are happening right now. But that doesn't mean that all is lost because there's there's a couple stocks right now on the defensive nature that look really good playing into seasonality, regardless of what's going on the other side of the world.
All right, well, let's talk about those very briefly, if you don't mind. Are these names that might pertain to the Iran-Israel conflict?
Absolutely. So, if you were to take maybe the top 3 or 4 sectors, and this is what I was analyzing over the weekend. And so, obviously, energy ETF. So, they're at the top of the list. Right now, if you look at mainstream media, the number one word out of their mouth is oil. And everybody's
Mm-hmm.
worried about the price of gas, and everybody's
Mm-hmm.
worried about the price of oil. I don't think everybody is. I think people on TV are worried about it. I have a seasonality bull on oil that goes out to around mid-July. This thing just started cranking up recently. So if you're looking at a good 1 month potential strategy, you're hitching your wagon to the last month of a 5 month pattern that, by the way, has not worked out this year. And I think the biggest reason it hasn't worked out is because of the Trump agenda's drill baby drill.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's pushed the oil sector down. But lo and behold, the conflict that's going on in between Israel and Iran has really spiked that energy ETF. USO, OIH is another one you can look at too. And I'm going to get there. I'm going to save what I think is the best for last. Number 2, defense ETFs. So you're talking about maybe the aerospace ETF, ITA. That's another one that you could look at as one that, and we're talking about an ETF that has Raytheon in it. It has Lockheed Martin. It has Boeing. I mean, these are the biggest pieces of that ETF. And again, why would defense go up? I mean, it's a no-brainer, Ryan. We have the conflicts overseas. I don't think I want to get into the whys, because it's there. It's on the tip of your tongue. Gold.
We also have the administration talking about Golden Dome and all of this other stuff. And to me, all I hear about that is more defense spending.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
To me, that conflict or otherwise, I hear our own administration talking about that. To me, that just seems like green light for a defense trade. All right, what else you got for us?
So obviously there's the gold play, and gold has been one of the best. The GLD's been one of the best ETFs this year, last year. I mean, I think if you go back to 2022, GLD was trading around 150 at the bottom, the bottom of the bear market. And so here's something that is in 3 years now, less than 3 years, doubled in value.
Yep.
For gold, that's
Bingo.
quite amazing, because gold's really one of those sleeper. If you look really long term, it's been a sleeper for the longest time, finally catching up to itself. A lot of the money printing had a good bit to do with that too. And then number 4 is cybersecurity. Now,
all right.
I like cybersecurity. I think that you got to look a little bit farther on than the knee-jerk reaction that's happened with USO. And gold's not been a knee-jerk reaction. It's just, to me, if you look at USO coming into the trading day today, you look at GLD, I believe they're both off. But cybersecurity, and the one that I'm really interested in is Amplify's cybersecurity ETF. The symbol is HACK. Can't get any better than that.
Nope. Hack. Let's go.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you take a look at the stocks that are in the Hack ETF, Palo Alto, Cisco, Cloudflare, there's some big ones in there. And so those are the ones that really kind of run the roost at Hack. And so we're going to see increased government spending for cybersecurity. We're going to see increased corporate spending on cybersecurity. And so take all of that information. So far, I've said nothing about seasonals. Now, let's talk about seasonals. Out of every single one of those 4 areas, and I'm talking about oil, gold, defense, and cybersecurity, only cybersecurity has hit my scan as a potential seasonal trade. So, here we are, we're coming in June 16th, and I'm looking at this 4-day work week, because we're closed for Juneteenth. But the first part of the week, I'm seeing Hack all over the screen as an ETF. And as an ETF, when I look at it, the 9 in the last 10 years, HACK has gone up between now and about mid-August. So, typically like I say, I like 30-day trades, but when you get volatility that's kind of popped like it is now, you want to give yourself a little more time. And that's what my software is telling me. It's telling me that, if you look out to August 15th, and this is including weekends and holidays. So
Sure.
really it's more like I think it's more like a 40-day. No, it's a 28-day trade when you take out the weekends and holidays. So last 10 years, the only loser was 2017. There have been probably half of these you're talking about better than 5% return. Add all the winners and losers together, and you're talking about maybe about a 3.5% return on something that starts now and ends in less than 2 months. And
That
so
doesn't sound bad at all. That sounds
no, and
great.
then you take a look at that, and you're adding on the fact that that hack is near the top of its range right now. It hasn't really gotten started like the other ETFs, and I think it's not a knee-jerk reaction. I think this is a longer term down the road, maybe even more than months. But this is what my money calendar is telling me, is that we need to start focusing on cybersecurity and hack, because that's what's popping up on the list right now.
Okay, I'll tell you what, of all of the sectors that you named, we've been in and out or still bullish on all of those. Just to recap, I think you said defense,
Yep.
precious metal, or like gold,
Yep.
Cybersecurity. What I'm missing one there.
And energy.
Energy. Oh God, I should have
top
led with
one.
energy. Yeah, that's the top one. So okay, so real good stuff there. Seems like you're all in the right spot here. Okay, so I understand. I'm sure that there's people that want to learn more. I certainly do. I actually want to increase the amount of trades that I make based on seasonality requirements here. So you have a webinar coming this week. You want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm doing something special for the Benzinga crowd. So I've been looking at the holiday patterns, and any of you in here that look at seasonal patterns, there are 4 holidays now in the really unofficial summer. You got Memorial Day, you got Juneteenth, you got July 4th, you got Labor Day. And so 3 of those 4 we've been tracking. But what I've noticed is I'm going to talk about those holidays. I'm going to talk about what works, what doesn't, and then I'm going to talk about stacking. And to me, stacking is I'm taking those 1-week holiday patterns and overlaying them on top of each other. I'm going to show everybody what my software, my seasonality software is telling me, how I'm going to be trading it. And yes, I'm an option trader, so I'm going to show you how I set the option trades up for those 2. And I will have a real-time trading opportunity for everybody on that event.
Okay, awesome. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was actually going to ask you if you trade options there.
Oh yeah,
great to hear here. Okay, I did go ahead and put a link to that registration for that webinar in the chat here. So if any of you are interested in that, please click on that and we'll check that out. So, okay, Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern.
That's right. We're going to be around for a few hours. This isn't going to be, a quick performance and go. I'm going to spend some time, going to answer questions. If you have questions about seasonality, you have questions about me. I've been doing this, like I said, longer than not. I've traded everything, right? Stocks, options, bonds, Forex. I mined cryptocurrency back in 2013, 2014 when it wasn't cool. Everyone thought I was an idiot to waste my time on Bitcoin. Well, apparently that turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm an early adopter to a lot of things, but I'm a trader at heart, and I'd love to show all of you that are watching this program right now what it is I do and how I do it.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. So first of all, you did mine Bitcoin when it wasn't cool. I started mining as part of a pool around COVID. And I thought I was kind of an early adopter here. You had been doing it years ahead there. That was a good call though. That was a good call. Bitcoin.
Yeah.
My first Bitcoin buy when it was 6,200. And I held on to that.
I can't tell you what mine is, because it was basically the cost of electricity and a small refrigerator-sized computer with multiple fans on it. My wife couldn't stand it. It sounded like a beehive in the house. And I was in a pool too. I was in the slush fund, the slush pool back in 2013, 2014.
Okay.
So
All
that's a
right.
whole story on its own. I'll save that for another time.
I was going to say, that sounds awesome. Okay, Tom, look, I really appreciate the time here this morning. Thank you for all this. I, for one, look forward to bringing you back and talking about more seasonal setups. Again, this is something that I'm actively trying to add to my toolbox. So the timing here couldn't be any better for me personally. I would imagine the audience feels the same way. So, Tom, thanks for waking up early. Thanks for joining us here this morning. Look forward to your webinar on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome. That is Tom Gentile. Please sign up for that. I'll tell you what, seasonality, of all of the things that I have been looking at here, seasonality has really helped me. One of the things that it's really helped me with is just giving me confidence for a trade. The chart's one thing, the news is another, but being able to have a library of data that says, yeah, we might be in a period here where more often than not, these trades are going to be positive, that has really helped. And I look forward to expanding that there. So really great stuff there from Tom. Okay. Thank you. And thank you, folks. We will be seeing him again. You can book that. Now, I am seeing here that there's some breaking news that Trump organization is announcing a mobile plan and a $500 cell phone. I'm not sure what I feel about that news. I think I'm going to go ahead and sell that news. That, to me, not terribly important. Not really a mover. More a chuckle than anything else. Speaking of chuckles, let's go ahead and talk to 13. We'll see how his weekend is. 13, how was your weekend, man? Welcome back. Happy Monday.
Oh, thanks. Hope everybody had a wonderful Father's Day. I know I did. Still kind of trying to recover, but I'm good to go. Had a great weekend here at the house. Didn't go too many places, but we had family over. Got used to some of the pool. Good time.
Hey, never bad to spend Father's Day with family. That sounds awesome. And you're in luck because we have a truncated week here coming up for Juneteenth, so you're going to get more time to use that pool. Really awesome. Joe here saying, Ryan, why are the markets up today? Just plain old recovery and ignoring the Middle East, or some new news? I'm not seeing anything. It's exactly that. You already hit it. It is the market sold off on the Iran-Israel conflict. One of the pieces of news that I shared earlier today is that there really isn't a whole lot that this can bleed over to the United States market unless this really starts to F with gas prices. So, Joe, it seems like what you're getting is a continuation of a buy the dip on the war fears. One of the other things is that we have been talking about this actually prior to this happening. We had been talking with Tim Melvin about, hey, when there are especially like nuclear global fears, those are generally buy spots. Looks like that's what you're seeing here today. I don't think there's any one specific headline. Looks like just continuation from the buy the dip on the Israel-Iran conflict. That's what I got there for you, Joe. Okay. Where do you want to go, 13? You want to do movers? You want to take a look at any stocks here? Palantir and NBIS were stocks that the chat wanted to take a look at. I have no doubt we will cover those throughout the day here today. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, let's just take out these movers and get these on our radar. And
let's take them out.
Names.
I love it. Okay, I am going to start here with at the top of the list, unless you have a specific order you want to go through.
No.
Okay, first one here is going to be Dawson, DWSN. This is Dawson Geophysical. Now, one thing here, I have never seen this stock before. I have never pulled this ticker up. I've certainly never traded this. I have no idea what this does. So we are going to dive in and figure it out together. Now, it looks like this thing did trade up to about 15.5. It is bled back 2/3 of that price already. Down here at 551, we lost the VWAP. What on earth is going on with this one? I don't see any new news for this at all.
It's part of a theme.
Is this just the energy theme, the geophysical energy theme? Onshore seismic data acquisition service with operations throughout the continental United States and Canada.
Next sentence.
The company acquires and processes 2D, 3D, and multi-component seismic data for clients ranging from oil and gas companies to independent oil and gas operators for the use in onshore drilling and production of oil. Okay, so this is the energy theme that we actually just talked about with Tom, and you and I started talking about last week here. So I don't see any specific news. I understand now with how this fits in. We got a float here of 6.24 million. No wonder I've never seen this stock before 13. On average, this stock trades just over 7,000 shares a day. Yes, 7,000 shares a day. Today we've traded over 19 million. Let me do the short interest here real quick and I'll kick it back to you. 1.34% of the show for the good Lord, the float shorted, but that 13 days to cover, that's because of the paltry average volume. We're not going to have any trouble with that here today. 13, what do you got for this one?
Yeah, I ended up trading 3 times the float already. Company does seem to have enough cash. It is turning profitable. So I don't necessarily think it's a junky name. It's just not a very popular name. But this does appear to be one of the companies that's involved in the exploration for drilling sites for oil and natural gas. So this is going to be kind of like a thing behind a thing, more of one of those components that oil and gas companies are going to use in order to find new sites and find new ways to profit. So that's really all I have when it comes to DWSN. I mean, we've already kind of explored earlier this morning how oil and gas are still kind of trending down right now because we already had the sell-off happen on Friday when the Israel-Iran conflict started. Got a bunch of bombings over the weekend. It seems like there's some cooling off for now, but I don't think that we've seen the end of it yet. So maybe just something to keep an eye on. But right now it's trending lower along with the rest of oil and gas. So maybe we find some support around the 65 EMA, the value of which is at 469. But I don't think this is going to trade very well until we start to make our way back up towards VWAP, which it has not done yet.
Yeah, I would agree with you. To me, just given this, how this is a non-news driven, just kind of a sector play, to me, I feel like we've got better targets out there. I'll probably end up staying away from this one myself here, but good breakdown there, 13. Really, let me change gears here real quick. This will also answer one of the questions here, and it also happens to be a mover. So this is the correct place to tie this in. Justin Bourne, I think I've commented on this before. Anything that is a play off of the Jason Bourne movies gets bonus points in my book because I love those movies so much. So your name is awesome. Can anyone take a look at SRPT? That's Sarepta. Its price plummeted. And should I stop loss of my 36 cost position? Okay, so Justin, just starting off with the second part first, there's no way that I can advise you on what you're doing. Nobody in here can tell you what to do. What to do with your position, what you should do, all of that is going to be completely up to you. And if you do need someone to help, you should absolutely look for a financial advisor and fiduciary because that is what their job is. However, let me help you out with what's going on here with SRPT. Just an absolute nightmare here. Sarepta shares are trading lower after the company suspended. I think this is Elvidis is how you pronounce it. Anyway, it's one of its drugs, Elvidis shipments, and paused the Envision trial following a second fatal liver failure in non-ambulatory Duchenne patients. So what's going on here with Sarepta is there's been another fatality in the trial here. They're pulling a lot of this stuff. We've seen this with biotechs. This is the game with biotechs. When you have some of these, one day you wake up, it might be up 40%. Another day it might be down 40%. And when you get a headline here that's this bad, you can expect some pretty good downside move. I don't even know if this is a bounce candidate. I'd rather just watch the price action and see if that can happen. Someone here in the chat mentioned, ouch, a $10 price target. The price target here is from Wainwright. HC Wainwright downgrades Sarepta to sell and lowers the price target to 10. If you wanted to take a look at some of the other analyst ratings here, let me see if we have anything else. Yeah, so this is the new one here. We had an upgrade and a sector outperform from Scotiabank last week. You want to talk about, or maybe the week before, you want to talk about, ouch, good Lord. Slapped an $80 price target on that. Now we've got some really, really bad news here. So Sarepta once very, very high hopes. Today, extremely bad news about one of its drugs, and it is plummeting, excuse me. It does look like it found some support down here at about $20. Maybe we want to call that 20 and a half, and it kind of overshot that. So maybe there is a dead cat bounce in here. Just please know what's going on. Please know that this trade is high risk. 13, I know that this was kind of a random detour here, but do you have any thoughts on Sarepta before I move on at all?
I'm just kind of looking at what the news feed over just this morning about how you're getting these hold and buy ratings amid the safety measures, specifically citing that particular drug. And then just hours later, sometimes in some cases minutes later, you get this this announcement that they are suspending shipments. I don't know how much money they poured into this or how much of a flagship drug this is for them, but this seems like it's pretty important to their portfolio.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't even think there's really a trade here. I don't know if I'd even want to be in this one or even try to do the research to figure out how this is going to turn around. This is going to take some pretty strong due diligence if you're going to stick around with this thing. Otherwise, like what Ryan was saying, I think it would serve you best if you went with a financial advisor to help them advise you what to do with this. Because we can't do that, and I don't have enough information in front of me yet. I'd have to do a lot more research in order to know what this actually is and how bad this is for the company, and I just don't know right now.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I look at this, like, I think on the first of all, I'm not a medical professional by any stretch, nor do I pretend to be one. But I read this headline and I can't help think to myself, this is terrible. This is terrible news for this company. So in my uneducated opinion, I look at something like this and I think, if there's anything to be traded here, it is basically just going to be on technical levels and price action. I mean, how many times I know this is not the same thing, but how many times have we traded a company that is popping because it announced that it's going bankrupt, right? It's a negative news headline, but the price action is supportive of a long side trade. That's basically the only way I could dissect this. If I had somebody that maybe knew a little bit more about this specific trial or the specific drug, maybe I would reach out to them and see if I could do part of that due diligence that 13 was talking about. But on the surface here, negative data, including human dying, not good. Not good. This news was released on Sunday. You're getting kind of a reaction here today. Jay, good morning. It's great to see you. Happy Underdog Day. I didn't know what that was, but good to see you. I'm with you on that one. Okay. Here we go. This is Sarepta. I'm sure we'll check in on this throughout the course of the day, especially if it does start bouncing. Sarepta is often covered on television. Seen a lot about this stuff on FinTwit as well. So it's quite possible that maybe this gets rolling intraday, but that's what's going on here. Bad news across the board. Stock is down 40% here in the pre-market. Okay, we can go back to the movers there. And I'll add Ondas to the list here. I do see that we got some more news here. It dropped, I should say, while I was on the show, while I was actually interviewing Tom. So I have no idea. I haven't even read through the PR yet, Glenn. I will go ahead and do that. We can take a look at that here as well. 13, I'm just going to move to the next ticker on the movers list here. It's SRM, which I feel like we've traded in the past before. So I'd be curious to know if we have any levels for that. SRM shares are trading higher after the company entered a securities purchase agreement with a private investor of $100 million equity investment, which it will use to initiate a Tron token treasury strategy. Is day trader out there? Because good Lord, we continue to get these. And thankfully, I've got the altcoin treasury playlist, watch list to add this to. There we go. SRM popped as high as 577. Now we've come back in a little bit. In the process, we've lost the VWAP. So the next thing that we definitely want to see here is, where does this stock firm up? If it's going to give us an option, or if it's going to give us a setup to trade this. The good news with this is that this Bitcoin treasury, or whatever coin it is, Bitcoin, whatever altcoin, Solana, Ethereum, whatever, this crypto treasury theme, this is still working here. Here's another data point in our model. Quick look around the horn on SRM here. 2.32% of the float shorted. That's on 1 day to cover. Average volume for this stock is about 500,000 shares. So not as bad as some of these, really thin ones or not traded ones. Today we've traded 18 million shares. The float here is 13.5 million. 13, what do you think of this one?
I don't have a whole lot more levels to draw from. This doesn't appear to have very much price action prior to the middle of August of 2023. $100 million private placement, that's a That's nice cash infusion. But if we take that aside and look at their balance sheet, they have maybe a quarter of cash. So I think that there could be some kind of raise happening here that would dilute shares. This wouldn't be a private raise; it'd be a public offering. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. I don't know that they're going to tap into that 100 million they got for the Tron coin in order to continue with operations, though it's certainly a possibility. I just don't know if they're going to allocate it for that. So just something to think about if you're going to trade this. There's always that possibility they could raise capital if they're not going to use some of that money that's for the Tron coin to conduct operations. Looking at the chart, we've blown through multiple levels, and really the only ones that I can see here that I would draw on are going to be the highs from the first few trading days that this was open. So we have 416, 468, and then the day that this came out and ran all the way up to $6. So those would be some of the early levels that I would be looking at to the upside. To the downside, there's a lot more we can draw on, and and one of the earliest ones, one of the first things I see here is that we have a gap that could be filled. Well, I mean, I think we already kind of filled that gap once. Yeah, we did. But there's a level that we could see like around 335. That if we lose that, we could see it go all the way down to 3 pretty quickly. So even though that gap's been filled before, I still think that we might see some pretty thin price action in that area. Yeah. So we'll see what we end up getting. I think it's more of like where does this thing drop down to more than how high can this thing go.
Okay. All right. We'll see what we get here on SRM. Really good breakdown. Let's let this shake out for the rest of the pre-market here, and maybe it'll set up for us. Day trader, appreciate this. Tron is a blockchain. Tron is a blockchain aligning itself with WLFI. I'm not even sure I know what that is. Samsung, and has a 25 billion market cap. The token is TRX. I've never heard of this token. I fully admit I don't follow a lot of the altcoins. Let me know what you think of this token. Is this good, bad, positive, negative? Let me know what you think there on that. Okay, I'm going to keep moving down the list here. Yep, go ahead.
I'm kind of wondering if this going to like is there going to be a big special thing for when Tron Ares comes out and this particular coin?
Yeah, my question was a little bit more remedial. I was wondering if this token could help me get a light cycle at some point in the future. If that's the case, then I'm interested. Otherwise, I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you for that, day trader. The
World Liberty Financial. Okay.
Good stuff to know.
Okay. All right, next here on the list is going to be SONM. This is Sonam Technologies. This was a penny stock last week, and here we are above $2 and actually successfully defending the VWAP, which is almost right there at that round $2 level. Sonam Technology shares are trading higher after it received an unsolicited indication of interest from Doogie, okay, to acquire the company for $360 per share in cash. Okay, so a potential buyout here for $360. This stock was a penny stock. You can see we did move all the way up to $268. We're coming back in now, but we have held the VWAP. Interesting there. Quick look around the horn here on this one. 2.77% of its float shorted with 1 day to cover. Not a whole lot of short interest, so I'm unsure that this headline is really going to kind of give the shorts a kick in the pants to cover. But that price up there at 360, I can tell you this. If you're short in a penny stock, an actual legit penny stock, and that stock has a potential to go to 3+, you're probably going to cover that short, I would guess. Anyway, quick look around, or continuing here. Float 7.67 million. On average, we trade about 300,000 shares. Today, we've traded about 25 million. What do you think here? We're going to get a trade on SONM?
I don't know, to be honest, because usually when we get these headlines, the price will just go right to that where that buyout price is, and it's kind of hover around there. This is one of those where it's just not sure, because the company even is saying at the same time that it lacks sufficient information to evaluate Doogie's indication of interest in a manner consistent with its fiduciary duties to Sonam stockholders and special committee needs Doji to provide detailed information. So I would say that maybe there's some good price action we can try and capture here, but this also tells me that we're going to be getting some more info probably really soon with regard to this potential acquisition. So I think that for me, I'm not going to really be into this one because I don't want to be on the wrong side of the next piece of news that can take it either up or down. So, and there's plenty of other 100% runners, and this wasn't even on my list. This just recently started happening when we began talking, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have a whole lot on this one that I can, really comment on, but we can at least look at some levels. Let me see what I got here.
I know we traded above 250, but that kind of looks to me like maybe that'll be a possible resistance area. We did just literally, as we're talking here, we just breached 2. We're sitting right there. So technically we're sitting right beneath the VWAP, but it does look like this is going. All right, what other levels you got?
I do like the 200-day EMA. That's at 262. So that's certainly a level we could see resistance on. We have had that resistance level recently back in May when it popped up and tested that area, and then it came back down. Hasn't been up there since. So if we do get some movement that takes it over the 65 EMA, which I believe it has, we could see a test of the 200 today. And I don't know how much more we're going to get after that.
Yeah, indeed. We are over that 65 EMA. Okay. Good stuff there. Good stuff on SONM. We'll see if we get a trade here. It's currently losing 2. Want to see that firm up here. Okay. Next on the list, looks like it's 13. I'm glad that you prepared for some of these today, because there are others that are just like, nope, we're just going to take off before 13 even gets a chance to take a look at them. We've got another one here. SVRE. This is Savarone 2014. Looks like we popped just over 650, 667, and we started to come back in. Let's see if there's any news on this. Indeed. Savarone signs preliminary agreement with European ADAS technology provider to integrate Savarone's VRU detection solution with ADAS sensor fusion platform. Lot of word salad in there, but looks like you're getting a preliminary agreement with your sensor solutions.
Yeah, it seems like some kind of autonomous
this is the automated
driving
driver thing. Yeah, that's related to that. Yeah. I just don't know which one this is going to benefit, or which company or anything. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look and see what kind of financials they got. No read on their income statement. 13.2 million in cash. No read on their cash flow. Well, that's not a good start. Looks like their short interest has been lowering over the past several months. Very small float, less than 500,000 shares. I don't know what to make of this company, really.
Yeah, I mean, so just kind of reading through the PR here. So just kind of dispelling some of the jargon here real quick. ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. So this looks like some of the systems that help you identify potential hazards here. And VRU, that stands for what? Vulnerable Road User.
I remember this one.
So it looks to me like this is just some of those systems that help you identify things, whether it's autonomous or for human-controlled vehicles. What do you remember about it?
So back last Monday, this company was also a mover because it had an agreement with Siemens in Germany. So I think this is more than maybe just an autonomous vehicle play. I think this is something that can be used to assist drivers safely, particularly ones using heavy machinery. At least that's the sense that I get from this. I'm not trying to spit any facts here about it, but it seems like this is more of a move into helping automate or assist drivers in heavy industry. That's just what I'm kind of getting from this.
Okay. So here, this is actually a really good mention. The last Monday when we talked about this, look at the performance. This thing popped, dropped, and actually went red. Did something similar on Tuesday in the after hours, popped, dropped. The very next day, it was barely up. Well, here we go. Fast forward to today. We're getting a similar pop that took us to a similar level right up here around 650. We've retraced 50% of the stick. I'll be honest with you. I'd be careful on this one just based on prior history of how this thing has moved.
Yeah, I would think so. That makes sense to me.
Downtrend with pops looks deadly. And indeed, this does not look great here. I'll be very careful with this one. Did start moving here just as we were talking, though. Okay, so we've done that. Looks like Stack is our next one here.
Okay.
Stack that looks like this did pop almost towards 10. Looks like it stalled out there at about 9. It's come back into about 4. We lost the VWAP $2 ago. On Friday, we reported restructured share capital to strengthen its market position.
Yeah.
See, we didn't get anything new here today, huh? Nope.
No, I think this may just be running from Friday, even though it didn't get as big of a move as on Friday. We did. I remember seeing this news. I don't know if we ended up trading any of it. Let me see here. If I have any levels for it, that'll indicate how much we mess around with it. I don't have anything on this, so I think we did see this. Right. I think we did see this on Friday, but it just didn't provide enough of a move for us to really be interested. There was that one little blip at 10:45.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
Yeah, big move happens to be coming here today. Looks like it just ripped. Sorry, I don't have this loaded up. I can't see what's going on with the level 2 there. Looks like a huge seller. Yeah, this is a phantom candle. There's a gigantic seller sitting at 405. He's getting hit right now, but this stock did not go back above 8. That is a phantom candle there.
I would just watch for this to hold 4. That seems to be where the support's at right now. So if we lose 4, then I think we're going to end up going maybe down to the 65 EMA, like under $3. So but if we continue to hold 4, we'll have to look and see if they recapture VWAP. That's at 507.
Okay. Do you have anything else on the list that you want to take a look at? Looks like Meta is popping here.
The only other one I looked at was OP. And this is a memorandum of understanding to sell $200 million worth of dry bulk ships. The company needs cash, has 1.45 million shares in the float. That pattern kind of looks a little bit bearish, but I covered it because it was one of the 100% runners that we had this morning. So I thought I'd take a look at it, and that's about all I've got. So it looks like on the way down, if that's where we're headed, you have support at about 250. And then what is that line there? Is that the 200 EMA?
The purple line is the 200 EMA, correct?
That would be the next support after that. But this pattern, it looks kind of bearish. So I would think that from here, maybe we trade better in the open, but from here, it looks like there's a little bit more downside to go. I think that it's certainly going to hit 250, maybe even that 200 EMA.
Okay, and a quick look around the horn here on the short interest, 0.34% of the float shorted, so nothing. They're literally 4,000, just shy of 5,000 shares held short total. 1 day to cover. This does come on pretty small volume, 1.2 million shares. Today we've traded about 44 million, so we'll see there on Ocean Pal. Okay, that's all you had here. I don't think I had anything else on this. I'll take a look at Ondas, guys, when I get a chance here. I want to get to Meta first. Before I take a look at this, but we'll do that here in a sec, or I'll do that here when I get a chance. Let's take a look at Meta. This is popping on WhatsApp, showing ads and offering paid subscriptions. That's why you're getting Meta plus 3% here in the pre-market, 2.81%. WhatsApp to show ads, offer paid subscriptions for the first time. That's a Bloomberg report, by the way. There was also news here. Scale AI's largest customer, Google, plans to part ways with the startup after a Meta deal. I think this is more moving on the WhatsApp ads here. We also had a price target raise from 665 to 775 at Oppenheimer. So some pretty good pre-market news here for Meta. That's popping the shares above $700. This company, despite me not liking it, it's just an absolute monster. It continues to trade higher and higher. Here's a look at your daily chart. We do have some resistance from the recent high. This was what, Wednesday? I've got the high of that Wednesday candle up here at 708.87. That is absolutely in play here today. If we go higher than that, I do think this 740 is possible. Maybe not today, but here in the near future. Meta just absolutely killing it. You got anything here on this on Meta 13?
The thing that's interesting to me is the earlier piece of news that came out that says Google, Microsoft, and Elon Musk's XAI reportedly cut ties with Scale AI after Mark Zuckerberg's Meta buys a stake. So I don't know what, I haven't read into this. I don't know exactly what that's about, but all those companies apparently don't like Meta for some reason, or don't want anything to do with them. That's the sense I get from that. As far as
I don't know why I have my own thoughts on it, but it's pure speculation. And I don't want to cloud anyone else, so I'll keep it to myself.
That's fine. I'm doing the same thing. But we can only speculate until we get the actual ordeal. But I would draw a trend line here on Meta. You got the highs from February going through the high that we just had last week, and that looks like the trend to break. Don't really have a whole lot beyond that. I guess we could view 660 as potential support area if the price does come down there and lose the 200. I'm sorry, the 20-day SMA. But for me, I think I'd just be watching for this trend line to break, and once it does, then we have another support area.
Okay. Good stuff there. Day Trader here saying Scale AI is a company that prepares data for the large language models. Indeed. And actually, anyone that is interested in Scale AI, I highly recommend the podcast that he just did with Sean Ryan, the CEO, Alexander Wang of Scale AI. I'm about a quarter of the way through this podcast, so I don't necessarily want to speak on it, but so far, so good. Absolutely tremendous here. Okay, we'll see if we get a trade here on Meta today. I'm going to keep an eye on that recent high that we saw. We're pulling back off of those highs a little bit here in the pre-market.
SRM in the pre-market is recapturing its VWAP, and this might push higher here before we open. Just something I'm seeing right now with SRM. It needs a little bit better volume, but the formation that we have here looks pretty good.
Okay. Okay, and then Stack. I see Gary mentioning that Stack. I noticed this on my other chart here. This is trading up towards the VWAP there. I've got that VWAP at 599, 616 here in Pro. We'll see if this volume is continuing to expand here. This is looking pretty good.
Has to recapture that VWAP. If we do that going into the open here at this, I would be looking at the levels that we put in earlier. That's what I would do.
Cam saying podcast spoilers. No, I don't have any for you. First of all, I'm not done. So I wouldn't spoil it for you anyway. But secondly, I actually have class and I wouldn't just spoil something for somebody else just for a laugh. I'm not in high school anymore. So I've grown past that. So no podcast spoilers. And I would appreciate it if you folks don't do that for others here. We're all out of high school.
SRM is pushing up. Got us wall of sellers at $5. If it takes that out, we might see a pre-market run here.
Okay, Jane, nice dip buy there at 415.
Nice, Jane.
Looking pretty good. Okay, we've got 10 minutes here. I got a couple of stocks that folks wanted to take a look at. Are you ready to do that? Did you have anything else?
No, I'm just watching this break of 5 of SRM. It's happening now.
Okay. Well, should I stay on that? Is that what we're watching here? I mean,
I just want to. I mean, they're trying to hit it. They just took it, but it's still under 5.
Okay. I'm going to start with the two stock. We'll get back to the movers in a little bit. I'm going to start with the other stocks that you folks wanted to take a look at. The first one here was NBIS. Now, I can't remember if there was a comment that was associated with this, what you were looking for or something like that. Here's a look at the chart here. You can see we've had a recent, just a huge move here in NBIS. I know several of you have been trading this. Kudos to you. Huge move here in NBIS stopped us right at that 500-day, which is just about 54 3/4, maybe 55-ish. Thereabouts. We take a look inside here. You can see it's really kind of backed off that level, but very, very orderly. And it's holding here at just about, let's see, what do we hold here? Come on. Holding here just about $48. Looks like we held 46 there on Friday when we were moving down. I didn't see anything new. I beg your pardon. Excuse me. D.A. Davidson maintaining a buy on Nebius Group, but raising the price target to 55. Didn't see any other news here. This has been a great stock for our trading group. For my first trade here, I screwed it up. I definitely piked this. Bought this thing at 17.15, sold it in like a mid 20 handle, 26, I think it was. Thought I was doing great, only to watch it go to 50. I would say that we've also had some success buying pullbacks on this stock. I know, Chris, I think you were pretty active in this last week. You take a look here on the chart here. When this stock was really making this move, it pulled back to this 35 a number of times, gave a number of good trades, including the most recent one where it really, really ran here. Quick look around the horn on NBIS, 5% of its float shorted. So interesting. That's coming in a little bit. Since we first started talking about this. Phenomenal. 1 day to cover there. That comes on an average volume of 12.3 million. Float is 202 million on this one. What do you think here, 13? You got any levels that we should pay attention to? I haven't marked up the NBIS chart all that much.
Well, we did get to $55 last Monday. 55.04 was the high. We haven't been up there since. So on the way down, I've got levels that we can pay attention to. And interestingly, they're pretty easy. They're all multiples of 4. 48, 44, and 40 are the big levels I'm keeping an eye on. But in between 48 and 44, there's an interesting spot. If you see that that June 5th green candle that took us up through 44, you might have to zoom in a little bit, but if you look at that candle and you see what the close was, and you look at the next candle and you see what the open was.
Which day was this on? You said June 4, June 5th. What?
5th, June 5th.
So we're going back here. Here, no, it's June 10th.
It might help if you go to a daily chart.
Here's June 5th. Got it.
Yeah. So the close that day on June 5th was 46.30. The very next day we opened at 46.30. So I'm thinking that 46.30, if we lose 48, is going to be an area to watch for.
Got it. Good spot there, 13.
That's what I'd be looking at. So those are the levels on the way down: 48, 46.30, and then 44 and 40. Okay. There's gonna be some levels in between 44 and 40, but we can explore that if we get down that low.
Okay, real good stuff there. All right, next here, I want to take a look at Astis, ticker ASTS. That's Space Mobile. This is right up your alley, 13. I can't remember who was asking about this. I can't find it in the chat anymore.
I remember seeing somebody ask about that.
Yeah, it was somebody asking a few times because I didn't get to it very quickly. But here you go. Here is ASTS. I'll be honest with you, I don't have this, and I wish I did. This is one of those stocks where I really wish that I owned it, but I don't right now. I've seen a lot of talk about this moving to 50 as early as this summer. We've had a lot of constructive movement with the price recently, which is really great to see. We have his trend line. I think the last time you and I looked at it, we added it here. We broke above this and actually are pushing away from this. We did an all-time high blue sky breakout of those highs up here. So what do you think on ASTS here? You've got a whole lockdown on the space sector. What do you think about this name?
I think this is probably one of the only, not one of the only, but one of the more recognized names that's going to help the telecoms industry, because like SpaceX, they have the satellite up there that's going to help provide access to rural areas for their cell phone and data usages. So this is going to be a competitor with SpaceX. I think Starlink. Competitor with Starlink. I think Starlink is still pretty far ahead of this company, but this company has satellite frequencies that SpaceX Starlink doesn't have yet. So it's able to help serve some of those clients that take advantage of those certain frequencies for their cellular devices. Looking at the chart on ASTS by itself, though, this thing is very extended, and I wouldn't be surprised if this does go higher, but I think it does need to come back in so it can springboard itself to over 40 and go higher. I think if we do get a pullback, we're going to be looking at somewhere between 35 and 36 for some support. That's where I would be looking at. That's from the March highs, and then the trend line beneath that if we do end up going lower. So I do think that ASTS is going to have to come back in. It's very extended, but this is going to be a pretty popular company in the space theme. As they do have some pretty high-profile telecoms clients.
Yeah, indeed. You can see there's a ton of recent buying interest here. It seems like there are a lot of other traders that are out there. Really good stuff here. ASTS next launch is in July.
Oh, can we just give a shout out to Jane real quick? She just absolutely slew SRM. That thing went up to $6. She was out at $5.48. Nailed it. I
think that was a 415 entry too, Jane, yes. Right? That is almost 1.5 points. On that, that's how Jane's coming back from the beach, firing up the money printer, just not even waiting until the market opens. I absolutely love it, Jane. Yes, we can absolutely give props on the show here when that happens. Really quickly here, I wanted to highlight this. Day traders saying 2 gap ups and a blow off wick on Friday. Could keep pushing towards 50, but you'd think it needs to consolidate at some point and then look for a bull flag here on ASTS. You kind of talked about this consolidating, maybe pulling back. Even what did you have? 35, 30? What was that range again? 35 to what?
35, 36 is where I would think that we would see some of the earliest areas of support. But if we go underneath that, we're going to use the trend line that you drew there as the next area.
Gotcha. Okay. Good stuff there. ASTS. Let me know. Whoever asked about this one earlier, let me know. Is that what you were looking for? Is that what you were looking for? And then real quick, that covers everything here. Izzy, I know that you sent me this last week. It was late last week. You sent me SNES. There was a news report. You asked me what my thoughts were. Honestly, man, I know I've traded this before because I've made a whole bunch of jokes about Super Nintendo and Mario noises and all of that, but none of that has anything to do with the serious news that you were posting. I didn't have an opinion, which is why I didn't respond to you. I don't want to just give you some nonsense response just because you asked me. If I have an actual opinion on it, I'll give it to you. Otherwise, I'll just tell you I don't know. So I didn't follow this at all. This had a huge move on Friday, though. This thing moved from about $3 all the way to 360. It's doing a good job holding here. So the first thing that I'd be looking at is 360 here is going to be your intraday highs from Friday. If we break out from there, maybe this keeps going. Just to reiterate real quick, Friday morning, Baltimore expands the use of Evolve rodent birth control for following a successful pilot. This is to help control the rodents. I think we talked about this briefly, where it's worked in other cases. Some of you had some suggestions or memories, whatever, had some knowledge about where this has worked in the past. So looks like that's what's going on here. Successful pilot program. Stock is up here. I don't have a position. I don't necessarily think I'm going to chase it. Really quickly, short interest here, 15.3% of the float shorted with 14 days to cover. That days to cover comes on a very paltry 105,000 shares of volume. We're only 20,000 shares here today. Float's 1.67. You have any thoughts on this one, 13? I know we're about to open here.
Yeah, so just real quick. No, we're open right now. So real quick on SES and SNES. This has not been trading over its 200-day SMA for almost 4 years until just earlier this month when we started closing over it. So now we are closing over the 200-day SMA for the first time in about 4 years. I think that carries some pretty big significance. I'd be looking for $4 as a resistance spot.
Okay, good stuff there. SNES. All right, we're open. Let me flip over to my main workspace here.
All right, so DWSN, that's not doing much but going down out of the gate here. SRM, the one that Jane successfully traded in the pre-market, that is also trickling lower, still above its VWAP though. SONM, that was dropping out of the in the pre-market, and we are still going lower out of the gate, headed towards some support areas. So we'll see if that picks any of them up. And then Stack, this is trying to turn green right now. So we'll see if it can recapture some of these slower moving or these smaller EMAs, the 9 and the 15. And if it does, VWAP is next. I have that at 612.
Okay. Good stuff there. We'll also keep an eye on some of these unusual options here today and see how that goes. Get my filter set up on that. All right. I know one of you was asking about Circle. This is, again, one of those recent IPOs. Circle popping here above 150, going higher on volume, up 14.5% here.
FCX blasting off to $42. This is, let's see, this is about where it was on Tuesday of last week before it went lower for the rest of the week.
By the way, Meta pulled back a little bit in the pre-market, is bouncing so far from the open here. Meta. BATL, this was also on the movers list, but this really had a poor pre-market here. Tried to bounce out of the open, immediately right back down to where it was at.
Hey, not a bad mention there on Zim, Jane. I think if this can start to hit its 200-day SMA again and try to recapture that, we might see some really good trading here happen with this one. And it looks like we may even have a inverse head and shoulders forming on the daily chart starting from this year. So something to watch for with that one. Let's see if we can get back up to that 200-day SMA around $19. Good eye.
Now, Zim, this shipping stuff, does the conflict play into this trade plan for you at all? I think I heard that most of the Houthi leadership got deleted over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it could be other conflicts, other issues that could cause shipping rates to rise. But I'm always going to go back to the shipping rate. So if we think that certain if those rates are going to start to come back up, then it's definitely worth it to monitor them, especially if you're going to be trading or investing in something like Zim.
Okay. Okay. No surprise to see the uranium names pumping. URA I saw was also on the scanner. DNN, Denison Mines. This is trading higher here. Willing to bet CCJ, LEU, all of these that we have been taking a look at, continuing to move higher here.
Wow. SRM is ripping now. 643 is the high.
Okay, let me bring that up. Here is SRM popping above 6.
All right, let me see if I can. Okay, so that was blue sky territory for it. The highs that it had back in 2023 were 601. So now we're down to that level again.
I'm having a tough day here, man. I am clicking on everything incorrectly.
Yeah, that 601 all-time high is from August 18th, 2023. But it's got some support there because it just turned around and lifted off of that level. Still in blue sky. You got 666, Robert? I got 660. Oh, there's a big seller that just popped up at 615. Oh, no, he's gone. No, keep an eye on 615. There's a large seller up in there.
All right. MBIS, by the way, one of those stocks that we took a look at, this ripping here out of the open. Oh, my good Lord. Can I click on the right thing? For heaven's sakes. MBIS looking like it's going to retake 50 here. Win also higher this morning. Costco's turning around. Palo Alto going higher. SPY holding above 601 here. S&P futures at the highs right now, 0.75% to the upside. Oklo continuing to pop right out of the open. A huge move for Oklo.
NBIS, that opened right at 48. One of the levels. SRM starting to put in a series of upper shadows. Be careful with this one. This is starting to indicate that it could turn around. Oops, I do not need that high DPI. There we go.
Yeah, so you guys, I saw this print here, so I was just really trying to go through this here with the limited time that I had. On this, looks like they had some news here this morning. American Robotics secures a purchase order from a major urban public safety organization in the U.S. for the Kestrel system, the advanced drone detection and counter drone solution. That's great. The one thing, we've seen this with some of the Ondas PRs here before, I don't see any terms in this one. So the last PR we got was the largest contract that they had ever signed in history. So that's really awesome. This one, not really getting a whole lot of specifics. Kind of unsurprised to see this reacting this way, down just about 1% here. Still expecting some more news flow out of this, but this one I wouldn't necessarily get terribly excited. I wouldn't necessarily just buy on this piece of news here anyway on Ondas.
I'm going and looking at some of those energy names that were running on Friday.
Oh, dude, Palantir. Sorry to interrupt you, but Palantir continuing to move higher here. This popping right out of the open here. This was popping in overnight trading. This is definitely being used in the conflict in the Middle East right now, and Iran is finding out about it. That is for sure. Palantir ripping to the highs here. Lions selling some calls from last week. Give you a register ring on that. Really good stuff here. We continue to move higher.
Houston American, that HUSA energy stock from last week, that's halt to the downside. INDO, that printed a low of 408 in the pre-market, and now it is trying to go for 5. Having some trouble with the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, but this thing has recaptured VWAP after opening here. So I'm going to see if this can go higher. 515 is a level that I have that this could potentially run to.
Okay.
SRM, that's starting to trade lower, losing $6. SONM, this might be trying to turn around. Volume isn't that great, but it is finally putting in a more favorable candle. There is a bunch of sellers at 152, so we're going to see volume really increase in order to get through those sellers. Stack, this might also be turning around. This one has a wall of sellers at 338. Needs better volume as well if it's going to get through those sellers.
This stack chart looks absolutely awful to me. I would just completely stay away from that, to be quite honest with you. Andrew here mentioning that Chime is popping here. I don't know that this is necessarily breaking out yet. This is popping and returning back to where it was. What was this, Thursday? So this is still lower from the IPO. That is the same deal with Voyager, but it's doing a good job holding in here. That's ticker VOYG. This actually last week late, this actually looked like this bottom down here at 48. We'll see if it can hold 50. Another spot I want this to move at, above is 56, and then after that is 61. This was as high as 73 on its IPO day, so we'll see if we get back there. Circle, the other recent IPO here, this is raging here. 160 looks to be in range for Circle. This is up 50 points since Friday morning. Almost 50 points since Friday morning. Incredible move.
With Chime, this appears to have run up to a resistance level. If you look at a 5-minute chart, you can see that the high we put in this morning of 38.30, that was pretty much where the top of this consolidation was from the IPO day and about where the bottoms were in the regular session. If we do get through that, the levels I'd be watching for resistance are going to be 39.60 and 41. And yes, I saw that Cooler is splitting its stock. Well, actually, it's a reverse split. So they're consolidating.
Do you have any thoughts on that by chance?
Well, the CEO said he wasn't going to be doing that, but now he is. And I
think that's why you're getting minus 23% here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and the other thing is that, well, I don't think it was a recompliance issue because they were still trading above $1 prior to this announcement. So, you know, I'm kind of on both sides of this. Like I've been saying for a while, I think they needed to reverse split a while ago because their float structure was too large to really trade that well. Had a really good time during that whole space theme movement late last year. It moved along with those, but hasn't really moved with them since. Maybe after this reverse split, it'll trade better. So we'll end up seeing what we get out of that. But yes, I think that's the reason why you're seeing it trade down today. The 1-for-8 reverse split, that's happening. That's going to be effective June 23rd. Maybe we'll see it trade better after that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's really annoying when the CEOs say, yeah, we're not going to do that, and then they go ahead and do it.
And then they do,
yeah. That really just breeds mistrust. There's really no good side to that. I'm with you on there. You know, Ondas was in a similar situation. Didn't think that they were going to need to raise. Then they went ahead and raised after some good news. It's just, it is what it is. I wanted to shout out Crow here. Crow, I've been waiting for you to show up here this morning. The shout out here is for Celsius. CELH, Crow has been on this for a while, not just some of the quick trades. It's actually been an amazing swing trade. Celsius here up another 5.6%. Celsius holdings are trading higher after TD Cowen upgraded the stock from hold to buy and raised the price target from 37 to 55. Since Crow has been talking about this, this has made an unbelievable move, went to 40, and it now is breaking above 40. Is 50 in the cards? Crow, you tell me. Really good call here from the group from you recently. So good stuff.
Day traders, you might be right about that, about buying BTC, but they will probably do an offering just because they need to raise the cash. I mean, their last quarter didn't really impress too well, and they have about 24 million in cash right now. So I don't know how long it's going to last for their operations. I think it's going to, if they're going to do an offering, it's probably going to be for multiple reasons, or they might be doing multiple offerings, one for buying Bitcoin, like you said, and the other for operations, because I don't think they can last with the way they're losing money right now.
13, I'll be honest with you right there. I thought for sure you were going to break into Shania Twain when you said it doesn't impress you much. I was a little bit shocked, but I guess glad that you didn't do that.
I'd have to hear her music first, I think.
Okay. Real quickly, on day traders' comment here regarding buying BTC, would that be a net positive or a net negative for you if Cooler did that? Sorry to put you on the spot, but that's just the first question I have.
That's fine. I just don't know what it would mean to me.
Well, the one thing that I'm thinking about is that it seems like any of these companies that do this pop in the short term. And so I guess then another way you could distill my question would be, is a short-term move higher enough for you, or do you actually want to see this move over the long term?
With regard to cooler or
yeah,
Bitcoin?
cooler specifically.
No, I mean it's been on its way down. Ever since it had that big space theme rally. But if it did end up raising capital to buy Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin went on to go up to 125, 150,000, 200,000, whatever. Well, of course, I think that all those companies are going to do really, really well because they were getting in at a time where it was still a relatively good time to get into the all the crypto names and create a treasury. I think it would be bullish, but that really depends on what crypto does. So if crypto starts to tank,
then you compound your problems basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't know which way we're going to go quite yet when it comes to these Bitcoin and other crypto treasuries, because I don't know if we're going to see crypto rise from here, or if we're going to see a pullback ahead of that. And any downside in the crypto space, I think, is going to really pound these names that have crypto treasuries in the short term. Long term, it might be better, but
okay.
That's
I was just wondering if that news would mean anything to you. It seems like you're a little on the fence on that anyway. Okay. Izzy mentioning Roku here. Roku is up 10% here. Roku shares trading higher after the company announced a new integration with Amazon ads. I actually think Roku has some resistance here between 85 and 86. We're at 81.5, so maybe a little bit more room, but likely to run into some resistance here if this continues to move in this direction. Nonetheless, though, a nice move after a pretty poor end to the week last week. Roku basically back to where we were on Wednesday. I did see that, Crow. I did see RGC. This was one of those just ridiculous stocks recently. This is going to split and make it more liquid now. Stock is up for almost $15, up 95% here today. This thing hit 80 in the pre-market. I mean, this thing is just so wild here. You're going to get a split, though. It should make it trade a little bit easier. RGC.
As he's mentioning Hover, HOVR.
Yeah, ASTS. We covered that already. Price target raised to 44 from B. Riley. ASTS up 8.75% here. So we're above that 40 handle, on its way to 50.
HOVR on Friday had a high of 232. We're at 207 right now. Seems that there could be some resistance at 220, but I could also see this pop over 220 and go higher. But those are the levels I'm seeing from HOVR over the past 2 trading sessions.
Already split. Sorry. Crow, I'm struggling today. Appreciate you staying on top there. I'm not as sharp as I normally am on Monday. Sorry about that.
Is SBET going to break over this 200? Like, what are we looking at with SBET here? I see Smoke Tuna talking about it. Is this going to break 12 and go on a run? Is that what we're looking for? Looks like 1265 is the pre-market high. Playing gap closes to Sad Boy.
I still have all of these SBET levels in case this thing starts to get wild again.
Yeah. Archer news, all EVs. So Archer's getting the move here. Now up 4%. Deal to deploy Midnight aircraft in Indonesia.
There you go, ACHR. Price target lowered 50 cents at Canaccord. That was the other piece of news that we got here this morning. And Kathy, I guess, recently bought another 40 million there. Archer.
She's been a big believer in this.
Yeah, she has for a while. That's not new.
For years and years.
Palantir, wow. Palantir continuing to rip higher here, 145.
What else is looking good?
Market is looking good here. We actually traded up to 602. Couldn't quite get above that. So you know what? I take that back. I thought we were, yeah, this 602. Let me go to the SPY here real quick, and I'll show you what I was just taking a look at there. All right. So this is the first level here that we want to get over. Friday's intraday high here, about 602. We've got it at what, 601.81-ish. But if we can get above that, next level I want to say is 604. See if we can move higher after that.
We have previous all-time highs after 602, 603.35, and then 603 even. I think are going to be levels to watch for as well. I believe Thursday's price action illustrates those levels pretty well.
Sky Q here. This is Sky Quarry. This is ramping on volume here right now. Literally spiked as high as 180 and stopped there. I don't see any fresh news on this one.
Yeah, Lion,
this is on the energy theme, though.
Lion mentioned to be careful, we might get a rug pull. It feels like the market kind of has extended itself out of the open here. Still think we could see a little bit more of a grind higher before we get a pull, but I think his comment's important. Be careful because we could get some sudden price action to the downside. Just because of how things are getting extended. Look at this move through 602 with SPY. We just really quickly popped right through that.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth mentioning that that's always the case, though, right? We can always get a rug pull here. Lion is saying, I don't believe in this pop. Lion, you haven't believed in any of the pops recently. So that hasn't changed at all. Well, let's change that. Let's turn that around a little bit. Let me ask a different question. What would it take for you to believe in some of these pops? Really don't like the name Sky Quarry. I'm not a fan of it either, Fairchild, to be honest with you. Not my favorite. Not my favorite there. Boy, Voyager not looking great here.
SBET really looking like it wants to take out 12.
Voyager, sorry, 13, really quick. Voyager, I'd be concerned if this breaks 48 to the downside. I'd be a little bit worried. Might have to sit that one out. Don't have a whole lot of this, but really had better expectations for this stock being in the space and defense angle, given some of the other IPOs, but just not materializing yet. Which one were you looking at? Sorry,
SBET. If you look at a 5-minute chart and draw a line at 12, this has been the level it's been trying to get over all morning, even in the pre-market. We did pop up above it in the pre-market, but ever since we came back down, has not been able to get back above $12 again. So if we just get a good expansion of volume in this channel or the next one, we could see a breakout there. But right now the volume's not looking that great. So just need to see that volume expansion, and we could get that move over. Now it's starting to trend lower because we're just not getting that volume.
Next level there, 1774. I don't know if we'll see that here.
You mentioned on SRM. That's pushing back up. Still not near the 670 high. That was amazing. This is starting to look a little weak. I'm not going to say it's going down quite yet, but it's starting to look like it could. If we cannot get back up to some of these highs that we made earlier out of the open here, I think this is going to come back down lower. Watch for VWAP test at 532.
Ryan, you're saying, well, Ryan, we have too many problems going around the world. The economy is not that great. Geopolitical problems. I would push back on that. I don't think that the geopolitical problems are really going to bleed in here unless it really affects oil. I covered comments earlier from others that think the exact same way. And we've actually got better economic prints recently. So it looks like things are starting to get better there.
Well, let's see what the Fed thinks, because
that's another good point, 13.
We get their rate decision on Wednesday. I'm expecting it to stay the same. But we also get something that we only get 4 times a year out of the Fed, and that is going to be dot plots and economic projections. So we get a lot of their materials that they're looking at, a lot of their, a lot of information about what their thought process is. So that's going to be something I think a lot of us are going to be really interested to see where they're thinking rates are headed. And if it's not the same as what other investors are thinking, you're going to see a big market reaction.
Yeah. The dot plots are interesting. I'm not sure what to expect out of that 13. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure what to expect there. Sassy Butterfly Chick saying, my dumbest move, buying Palantir for 36 and selling it at 45. I'm banging my head up against the wall. So I know why you feel that way, but I push back on you too. That's not your dumbest move. You made money on that. In fact, you made almost 10 points on that, which is pretty good. Look, none of us really knew Palantir was going to go this high, this fast. At least I don't think so. I certainly didn't. I was just telling you about how I piked NBIS, something very similar. Bought 17 and a half, sold it like 26, almost identical to what you were doing. Here's the thing about that, though. You can always get back into things. So don't worry about missing the top. If your process made you money, that's really the important angle.
Yeah, don't ever get mad at yourself for making a good trade. If it goes on and runs beyond what you were your exit was, well, that wasn't part of your trade plan, and it doesn't matter. So don't be beating yourself up over something you didn't capture. Only focus on what you did. Yeah. And if you want to look and see where you went wrong, so you can try to maybe capture more on another stock or the same stock next time. See what is different, or do some more research about and analyze what you did right or wrong with your trade. Personally, I think you did just great.
Yeah,
you captured a whole lot of money. Who knows? Who knew that we were going to see this crazy valuation?
And nobody. That's the answer, 13. You're absolutely right on that. Nobody thought that. The one thing that I will add to this, though, if you have something that's really making like a momentum move where you're like, wow, this is crazy, scale. And I know a lot of you folks, I talk to a lot of people that are like, look, Ryan, I only have 50 shares. Well, then sell 10 of them. And if it goes up another couple of points, sell another 10. There are ways to keep some exposure and still book gains there. If you feel like you continue to miss the tops on that, that's how it goes. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. You'll be all right. SPY 603. Did we get through it?
I don't see a
not quite. Nope, not quite. Well, we made a run there. Yeah. High of this candle, 603.17, but we pulled right back. We peaked above so far. Good morning, Robert. Okay. Good to see you again.
Yeah, 603.17. My the previous all-time high I've got is 603.35. I guess I just didn't have that candle show up in my chart for some reason.
Yeah, I actually had a phantom candle earlier.
Okay,
frankly. Pete saying, don't feel bad on Palantir. I did similarly over here at 15% gain months ago. No regrets. There you go. I traded Palantir via a butterfly that Anne-Marie gave to the group here. And I think we held that from like 45 to 60-ish or something like that. Maybe it was a little bit lower. Maybe it was 35 to 50-ish, something like that. It was great. And it felt great because every day that position went up. But look what it did. Look what it ended up keep doing. You just can't be mad about that. There's going to be more, and we're going to help you make some more. Or the group here, I was going to say, is going to help you with that.
JJ, really simple explanation is dot plots are effectively what each individual member of the FOMC believes rates should be at over time.
And then when they look at them as a whole, it kind of gives you like almost like a matrix of where they think the different possible cuts are going to be. And then everyone on TV, including us, I don't want to absolve us, then make inferences on what we think the next cuts are going to be. And to 13's point, I think 13, you correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the big point that you were making there is that we actually only get this 4 times a year. And this happens to be one of those meetings. So we might see more movement because of that. S&P 500 taking out 603 with authority right now.
We're also currently getting some news. Webcoin is mentioning positive news out of Iran. Oil is falling.
Yep. And actually, that your indication, this is why I was trying to push back on Lion earlier and not buying the fear and all of that. There, like I had covered you. I'm not a geopolitical master, but basically what happened is that Iran is getting spanked. There's no other way. There's no other way to look at this. They are getting what?
Wall Street Journal exclusive. A battered Iran signals it wants to de-escalate hostilities with Israel and negotiate.
Yeah,
they've been pounded into submission.
And here's the thing. I had told you before, I kind of recapped this earlier. The recent chain of events told you that this was going to happen. First of all, oil was down this morning. That's number one. But second of all, you had the Ayatollah reach out to Putin. Putin said, I'll reach out to Trump. Putin reached out to Trump. Trump said, no, I'm not stopping Israel doing anything. Putin calls back the Ayatollah and says, yeah, you better make a deal. That's basically what happened here. Iran is getting absolutely smoked, okay? And they are losing this fight bigly. And what's happening now is that, you're going to start to see a deal. In fact, Trump, I think, before boarding Air Force One on his way to Canada last night, said that he expects a deal to get done soon. Looks like that's the way we're going here. S&P 500 futures continue to tick up, now above 1% here. And SPY here, 603.20.
Jay, it's interesting if that's 2 hours old because it just hit the news feed over here for me, and we are seeing the market react to it just as it hit that news feed. So either everybody's slow or you're just lightning fast.
Yeah, it might also be a different article. Jay, there might be a series of articles because I'm seeing Walter Bloomberg and Zero Hedge here literally highlighting this. Iran signals it wants to de-escalate hostilities with Israel and negotiate, per Wall Street Journal. Walter Bloomberg, same thing. So I would attribute this move higher on that article. If there were more than one, maybe that's why it appeared late.
Maybe Big Bear AI is going to be a Palantir light because apparently they're ripping right now, and they are getting partnerships with United Arab Emirates, which is old news from last week. I get that, but seems like investors are starting to take positions in this thing.
In which one?
BBAI.
Oh, ooh. I don't have a position in this, but actually some smart people that I talked to started to mention this, and I was kind of taken aback because I was like, wait, isn't this just kind of like a day trader scanner stock? And maybe not. No position for me. I'm not making anything off this, unfortunately.
Hope everybody's having a good morning so far.
Yeah, definitely having a good morning here. Actually, Voyager bouncing back here too. Ondas, we talked about that a little bit. That did pop a little bit. It has since come back in.
Well, I think, Lion, you may have gotten one aspect of a rug pull correct. Oil is certainly getting hammered off the positive Iran news. That's actually going to be really good for inflation. We'll have to see what you know, the global crude prices end up doing. This is going to, this is a slow moving ship, but could start to see energy prices come down some more if there's more positivity to come out of this. That would be great. Yes, I think. See, okay, that's a good comment, Zach. If Iran's regime gets toppled, this could be super bullish news. I think that could be the case. I don't want to say for sure, but I think that could be the case. Yeah, no, and same deal. Jay saying the same thing. This is, again, Lion, you said, Ryan, careful what you hear in Western news. I have my own sources too, Lion. I literally get on here all the time and literally shit talk the news because it's mostly junk. So that's well aware of that. Let me put it. I have it on screen here, 13. Okay. But this whole thing, like there are other Middle Eastern countries that they're not saying it, but they're like, oh, thank you. And to the point about the regime change here, it definitely seems like the Iranian people should be in charge of that, not necessarily any other. I certainly don't want the U.S. going in there and installing another regime. Doesn't look like Israel wants to do that either. Let the Iranian people handle it. Hopefully they're able to take care of that. The news, though, so far good. Sorry, the Iranian people want this. They want a regime change. Yeah. I know this because I have family from Iran. And also, 13, shout out to some of our former happy hour members. I won't mention their name just because I didn't get permission to do so, but we've actually had a couple of people join the happy hour that have been from Iran. One of them shared a number of stories about this. This absolutely is what they want and have wanted long term. So I don't want to get excited too early on here. Nice to see this nice market reaction. We'll see where it goes from here. We'll do the best we can in the meantime. You guys are mentioning SBET. You bet your ass we are. I was waiting for somebody to do that. Actually, SBET, so it's still butting up against 12. Last time we took a look at this, 12 was the level. 12 clearly is the level again. We'll see if we can move above. This next visit looks like the one that could break over. If we just get some more volume expansion here, I think we're taking out this 200 EMA. Just need a little bit more and take it over 12. That's a significant wall there, but we just need to see that volume expansion and we're off. Okay, 13, I'm actually going to leave this up here. I'm going to take a step away for just 1 sec. BRB. All right. Hey, you guys are really, mentioning some really good stuff here. Jay, that's we must put up the Starlink over the weekend. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. Yes, Zach, you're saying yes. This is their opportunity. I agree. Sean Boyle, 100% for the Persian people, 100%. I think I'm glad to see that we all agree, and I hope this really works out for them, and basically brings some semblance of stability in the Middle East. That area really needs it, and I hope they get it. What else we want to look at here while SBET tries to take out 12, which it certainly seems like it's doing. It just chewed up a whole bunch of those sellers up at 12, but could not push through quite yet. Still need more volume to go higher. Really trying to get above 12 SBET. And here comes another seller that just came back in and started walking it down. Like I said, need the volume or else we're going to get this. What do we want to look at while we're dealing with SBET here? Anything else that's starting to look enticing? It looks like SONM tried to recapture VWAP. That hasn't done it quite yet, but I don't think it's done trying. We might see some more attempts at this following this first one. Stack is starting to curl. I don't know about that one. SGMT is going lower. Hover is kind of hovering around its VWAP.
I see what you did there, and I liked it.
I'm just trying to find something. Okay, now in IMDO, like the oil names that we were looking at from Friday, those are all starting to really get hammered. Meanwhile, I think MP was getting mentioned earlier. That's
MP, and then the other stock that you could mention with MP or think about when you take a look at MP is USAR. That moved on those initial headlines here. MP, indeed, this is up. USAR also up 8% here.
And there was I'll have to do some more work on it, but I was mentioning a whole bunch of companies, some private, some public, that are in the coal fly ash remediation. Because that is a massive source of rare earth minerals and elements. So starting to see a lot of companies. I'll have to go back and I might even do a report on that, to be honest, just because there's a lot to cover. But I think that's going to be something that we really need to pay attention to is coal fly ash remediation for rare earths. I know it sounds like it's a whole Chara thing, but this is
I was going to say, man, it gave me. Gave me heart palpitations for a sec there.
I'm not suggesting that we're going to do anything like that, but we need to be paying attention to some of these because you have Trump that's been, starting to grant all these authorizations to keep coal plants open longer and even start to expand that. I feel like this could be, a kind of a back end approach to rare earths, especially if we have companies that can take that byproduct and turn it into something completely useful.
Yeah.
Now I get that the big hurdle that we need to accomplish if we're going to be doing any kind of refining over here is to expand our refining capacity. We just don't have that quite yet.
TTD getting mentioned here. I know this trade, I actually gave up on this trade. I'm still in the calls. They got 32 days to expiry, but they're totally smoked here. However, nice little pop here for TTD. It is up 3.66%. It was lower in the pre-market, but got all of that back and actually went higher. So maybe we have some more room here on TTD. No new trade here on this one, but nice to see it.
DWSN's getting mentioned.
Okay.
This is breaking through at 65 EMA. It's looking like it wants to go towards its VWAP, which I have at 675.
I've got that VWAP 712. It's actually a little bit different in my broker as well. Maybe this is turning around. Maybe 4 was that bottom it needed to hold 13. I don't feel great about this one, though.
We'll see. It might need some more time, but it's currently trying to work its way through these EMAs on the 5-minute. SGMT is taking another stab at the VWAP. Hover actually got over its VWAP. SONM, that's also trying to recapture its VWAP.
Sats, this is EchoStar. EchoStar shares are trading higher after President Trump reportedly urged Ergen and Carr to cut a deal on the company's spectrum. So this popped as high. It looks like 26 is some pretty significant resistance here. We're currently at 24.78. That's SATS EchoStar.
That's one of the space plays.
Yep, sure is.
Viasat is also getting a lift, maybe on some of that news. That's up almost 7.5%. The ticker is VSAT. Well, hey, you know, Robert, I'm glad that we're all looking at the same thing and thinking the same thing. Man, SBET really struggling with 12. It doesn't have those large wall of sellers anymore, but I think they keep popping up and trying to pull it back.
There we go. 12 test on right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been at this level for a while. It really needs to start pushing up here and expand that volume. 1265 is the pre-market high.
No, I'm actually going to put this. I want to take a look at the level 2 on SBET here. Here we go on 12. They're hiding size. It's clearly there because they're hitting this. And I'm seeing prints, but they're hiding the size. I don't have a big figure for the sellers sitting on the offer there, 13.
Yeah, I don't think I think they're just, like kind of, maybe they're just doing market orders. I don't know. See that?
There it goes. Okay, so popped right through 1207. Higher we go now. Watch SBET here. The Kraken might be let loose.
Yep, 1265 is what I'm looking at here. That's the pre-market high. Really good stuff.
1260. What did you say?
1265. That's
1265. Okay.
The high from this morning. Yep.
I'm actually going to mark that off on the chart here real quick because I also suspect if this keeps up, the other thing is this is likely going to be in play tomorrow. So 1265, we're going to note that level right here. Let me actually make it precise.
Yeah, see, I have that in my broker as the high out of the gate at 405 this morning. I don't see that on your chart.
No. And actually, I don't have that. Oh, my goodness. I do have that on my broker. Oh, that's the overnight trading.
Okay.
Because our charts are only showing pre-market. That occurred in the overnight trading session, 13.
Oh, I thought it was because 405. I thought 4 o'clock is when in the morning. I thought is when pre-market opens.
Is that the time that I know? I have this at midnight.
Ah, okay. So yeah.
So it's the overnight trading session that they're showing. That's exactly what this is. Confirmed.
Okay.
No, I'm not in SBET, if that's what you were asking, Buffalo. I'm not in this one. Our cat getting a mention. We're getting some drone movement. Indeed, our cat plus 6% here, 5.5% here. Pretty good after bottoming out on Friday there.
Yeah, Rob. That's what I thought. It is 4 a.m. in the Eastern for pre-market.
Yes, but there's an over 24/7 trading is a thing now. And the trading view charts here in Pro only show pre-market, after hours, and regular. So anything that takes place overnight looks like a gap when it's not actually a gap. That's the confusion. And actually, I am looking into getting that changed here for Pro while we're on the subject of that, but I think that's a little bit more involved. I also noticed this earlier. This is one of those AI stocks that we talked about. INOD popped out of the gate here, is actually grinding another leg higher here. We'll see what happens at 45 on INOD. Let me reset this, though. Here's what we had. The last time we talked about INOD, we had this running into a head and shoulders pattern. So if we are unable in the next couple of days here to get above 52, this might actually roll over, and we might have a pretty decent chart formation for a potential trade. No position for me yet, but that's one of the things I'd be looking at here. INOD, their biggest customers, Google, Facebook, or Meta. Big stuff there. Okay.
This might be pretty speculative, but one that I've been keeping an eye on, and it's in the food space, is SDOT. And I'm only keeping an eye on it because it had some really interesting volume last week. And I don't think it's run like it could quite yet. The float's pretty, it's in our wheelhouse, like a 5.1 million shares. It has been getting some big increases in relative volume. But I was thinking this might blast off around $2. So we'll see what we end up getting out of this. But just something I was starting to see that it was getting a lot of attention, but hasn't really run quite yet. So just something I'm watching for. It's basically a company that is in the food supply chain sector and connects producers and consumers all over the world. So just something I was looking at earlier when I was looking at restaurants. This one came up.
SkyQ might be bouncing here. This pulled all the way back down to the 15 EMA and bounced clean off of it down here at 120. Sky Q. This was one of those movers that we talked about. High there, 194.
SBET got support from its 200 EMA on the 5-minute, right down at 12. Now it's turning around, trying to push up higher, looking for that 1265 level. If we go higher than that, geez, I don't know that we'll, recapture all the downside we made last week. But if we are, it's going to 30.
Ondis seeing call flow, which is I'm not used to seeing there. CoreWeave here. So Kathy mentioning CoreWeave looks good. Here's the spot. Here's where we left off on CoreWeave. I have the fib drawing here. We're thinking that maybe the high here was 160. We are actually testing the bottom of this trend line that we broke out of, and we're testing it literally today. So I'll be curious to see if we stay beneath this here, especially with the market really strong. By the way, market here 603.5, and we've got green breath across the board here. Really, really strong. And Jay, you're right about these hints. I noticed this too. When I checked the futures last night, I was like, that's weird. We're green here. I was like, I think we might carry that the next day. And you're right, Palantir leading the charge there.
So something to keep in mind here with CoreWeave is that 143 level, because since this trend line came back as support on Thursday, we had a low of 142.50. Then the following day, we also kind of traded down at that level, just under 143. I'm thinking 143 might be a interesting or important support level to watch for with CoreWeave. Because if we lose that, I think we might start seeing this trade much lower, maybe down to 130.
Okay. Some pretty clear stuff to look for here on CoreWeave. Oh my God, Bonsai is making a return. BNZI. It's a penny stock now, but this up's almost 18% here. Sky Q is bouncing. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, great job, Jane. She's been on top of it this morning.
Look, all Jane needed to do was go to the beach and get some R&R, and now it's back to work money printing time. Yeah, Zach, that Ondis thing. The one thing, and again, guys, this is a stock that I'm still long. Obviously, I've sold on this run up here to book gains and all of that, which is great. But the one thing to keep in mind here on this, once again, we did not have terms disclosed in this order, and the stock is down by 1% here. So this is good news. Glad to keep seeing it. I want more. They've really done a good job actually getting contracts and putting out news. We really just need some stock performance to sit behind it. I would like an earnings surprise to the upside here. I think probably changes how this stock trades going forward. I don't know when we get that, but hopefully it's the next print.
Izzy, what are you having me look at? MIS? I don't think that's a ticker. Just nothing coming up for me.
MVIS, I'm willing to bet, because I think I saw Microvast moving, or Microvit.
Gotcha.
Yep, it's got to be MVIS. This has got to be it. Look at this. This 5-minute chart has all green all green candles, period, price and volume.
Okay, well, we are hitting the May highs. So, we are coming up to a resistance area. That looks to be like 140. 140 seems to be a really, really strong resistance area.
Yeah, a whole bunch of insider option activity from Friday, but that's about it.
I think if we can recapture and hold above 140, this thing's going to continue to trade higher. But 140 looks like it's a big resistance area. 135, 140.
Mo, early 9%, calling it a day. That's a good Monday, Mo.
Nice.
Have a good rest of your Monday. RCAT on a run. Jay Michael, awesome. We talked about the drone stocks being kind of in play here. I guess, given the news and the drone theme, I guess I am a little disappointed in Ondis's performance here today, but that's neither here nor there. RCAT ramping plus 10% almost. Izzy's on Fubo. That means the universe is in order here. Fubo 15-cent move from the 320 low. Is Fubo any good? Like, is this the stock is not great? Is this going to be a real, like a real company? Are they going to win or be a part of the streaming war? I just don't know how to value Fubo here.
I don't think the streaming platforms are hot right now. There's only one that really is.
Yeah.
So take care, Mo. So I think that unless
Fubo
people
is
are
a
being,
Disney play. Okay.
yeah, unless folks are being
Okay.
forced to stay in their houses again, I don't know that we're going to see big pickups in the streaming names again.
I talked to a couple of people over the weekend, and let's just put it this way: I talked to a couple of people that I did not expect this attitude from. There will be no more being locked in the house in this country. I'm just gonna put that out there now. It might ruffle some people the wrong way. Get over it. There are a couple of people that I talked to this week, and I did not expect to have that opinion. They were adamant.
Now, Izzy, are you mentioning play as in Dave and Buster's? Because we're getting close to a gap fill. It is very extended, but we're getting close to a gap fill with Dave and Buster's. All right, looking around and seeing what's starting to move again. It looks like SBET still hanging out around 1250. Wants that 1265. Hover continues to hover. Stack. Man, this thing has done nothing but just go down, form a bottom, and then go lower. SONM is still moving up. It has recaptured its VWAP, put in a high in the regular session of 214. Pre-market high was 269. SRM trying to turn around as well. That's underneath.
Sure is. Sure is. Play was a great play. I love it, Robert. I love where your head's at today, Robert.
DWSN. This is the exploration for drilling. This one still looks like it could go lower. Gets some support from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, but need to see this one start to turn around. And wow, Iridium is another space.
Dude, look at RGC.
Is this a halt fest?
Yeah, this is remember this split. This was originally a halt fest when we first took a look at it. It had a crazy run up to like 500 or something nuts. Now it's split. It's still a halt fest. Just wild action here.
Let's see.
3 halts already today, I think.
Well, the pre-market high was $83, and it came right back in.
Daniel here saying RGC 80 call incoming. Do not underestimate germs. Are you talking about just like regular germs that make you sick? Because believe me, I do not underestimate them. Oh, you were talking about the people. Yeah, I'm not. It's not the germs. I am. Again, I'm not trying to start an argument or a fight here. But the people in power, the people in the political system, are not going to lock people in their houses again. They will not be successful.
Getting a lot of mentions about AMD, and I have noticed that over the past, last week there were several days where they were talking about their AI and their new AI chips,
Bitcoin highs,
and not nice. And now we're really starting to see these investor groups and these fund managers starting to really get into AMD a lot. Man, this thing is on fire right now. I wonder how these other semi names are doing. Like, how's Broadcom looking?
I actually went to the quantum names off AMD. They all look like they're ripping higher here.
Fantastic. I'm waiting for AMD to do something like this. Meanwhile,
Broadcom basically holding flat here.
Mm-hmm. SBET 1282 and still trying to climb. So we are going much higher now. This is the highest it's been post. I think it was offering that they had that brought it down. What was the news?
On which one? Sorry, I was reading something.
SBET was that was on Thursday, I believe, right? Or Friday. What was the news on SBET that brought it down from 30? Was it an offering?
It was the offering on Thursday.
Okay. All right. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, Daniel, that Sky Q, that's a pretty impressive bounce there. Right now, here's the thing: we stopped at the VWAP. Maybe there's more in here, and I actually didn't take this one, unfortunately. Here we go, going through the VWAP now. Sky Q. Oh, okay, that was just maybe a head fake there. It peaked above. Are we going to go right here? Here we go. Watch for this volume candle to really expand. This volume continues to build here. I think this 180 and what's the high here? 194. Here we go. Here we go. Sky Q. I'm going to put this in another chart here so I can watch the level 2 for you here. This will be interesting if it stops here, because now we're actually setting up a trend line that we can go through. Volume is still pouring in here. I'm watching the level 2. Yeah, right through that.
Look at this.
I think you got 194 coming here on Sky Q. I don't know what happens after that, but I think you got 194 coming here. The buying feels relentless, at least from looking at this.
I like 225.
Okay.
That seems like that could be a pretty strong resistance area. Yeah, 215 to 225. I like that area for resistance.
It stopped right there. It looks like 184 is where it stopped in this run up. Mo, I took a baby size on Sky Q at 95. Well, you're up almost a full dollar.
Crow mentioning that DFDV could get RGC sympathy.
Are those related?
I don't know if they're in the same space or what the connection is, but if you want to trade it, I'd say look into the reasons why he's saying that. I'm sorry if I'm sounding like a jerk. I'm just kind of mentioning. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, I was like, what did I do to you?
No. I'm just saying, like, because I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know. With regard to the information he's talking about, but if you're looking to trade this, do the research before you do that.
Out at 179. Let's go, Izzy.
All right.
Let's go, Izzy. A Sky Q. Nice little bounce there off that pullback bottom end of the VWAP standard deviation channel.
Way to mine that, Corey.
There we go. Still, I'm with Fairchild, though. Still not a fan of the name. fan of people getting paid. Not a fan of the name. Circle here, another recent IPO going higher. Sky Q is actually a recent IPO that got cut in half. That was what, I believe last year, fall of last year. Let me check.
Love seeing that the space names are doing well today. Pretty much the only two space names that aren't up today are Voyager and Cooler. Everything else is up.
Yeah, tell me about it with Voyager.
It's pulling more of a Magellan, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not great here. It's not great. I'll be honest. Given some of the, I'm hoping that this is just some folks that were in the IPO that are just kind of purging.
Robert, do you have any idea, like any idea at all, when that could be?
Yeah, because I'm playing this one for sure.
Yeah, I don't care if I mean that's the. I think that's going to be the big name that people might be paying attention to. So I'm gonna be interested to see what happens with that one. All right, looks like DWSN. I mean, it needs more volume, but it looks like it's trying to curl up here. So I could keep an eye on this one, see if it goes on to recapture the 65 EMA. But volume is going to be the name of the game here, and if we don't get that, it's not going to break through those previous levels. Stack looks like it's trying to turn around. STAK, that's currently trying to push through its 65 EMA on the 5-minute.
Last time it tried to do this was in the pre-market, and it was a rug pull.
Mm-hmm.
It was the rug pull that Lion was looking for in the regular market. We literally got it in this stock.
It was above the 65 EMA until we opened. So it was rejected by the VWAP in the pre-market. That would be interesting though if we do end up going to that very same spot. There's what, like a $70, $75 trade you could get off that movement from here. If it recaptures 65 EMA, I don't know that it'll do it, but that's what you would get if it worked. Looks like SkyQ is still trying to push higher, getting support from its VWAP. SGMT continues to get rejected by its VWAP, and now it's headed towards its 200 EMA.
That was SGMT, I think you said, right? Sagamet?
Yeah. Daniel, for Anduril, I just want to kind of see what it does, first. Like I'll admit I'm not the greatest when it comes to trading IPOs.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to avoid them. And, every now and then I'll take a risk on it. Like I took one with Chime, CHYM. I made $1 on that from 40 to 41. And I think I was lucky because that 41 was the high of the rebound. So I think I may not get it the first day, but I just kind of wait and see what the price action is. But I do want to own it.
My plan is actually different than what it normally is for an IPO. I am, as soon as it opens, at whatever price it opens, I'm going to buy a handful of shares. I'm really not going to buy a lot. In fact, I'm probably not even going to buy over 100 on that buy, but I'm going to buy a handful of shares. And then I'm going to do what I normally do on IPO days, and I'm going to wait for that IPO to come back in, show like it's finding some type of bottom, and then add some more to that position. The whole thing for me for Anduril is I actually want to have some long-term exposure to this. I don't know if it's going to come down from the IPO price. I tend to think it won't, but my plan is to start building a position and then trade around my core position because I do want to own that one long-term.
SBET, Mike just nailed it. SBET 13 is the price that it's at right now, trying to push through that handle. Really, really good stuff here with SBET. Congrats to everybody that's trading this one today.
And that 1265 level that you outlined, Gonzo. Next one here, 1774. Yeah, so do I, Robert. Here's the big thing. I'm wondering if this is if too many people do. Right. And then we get this big IPO pop and then the stock comes in for a little bit. That's the big thing I don't want to see. So the way I'm going to handle that is I'm going to trade it in smaller size on day one. Hopefully, if I trade it poorly, which is always a possibility, then I won't have too much, and simply dollar cost averaging will get me to where I want to go for my long-term position. Trying to have a backup plan in case I fumble it.
I mean, and like I said, I'm not the greatest with trading these, and I haven't spent a lot of time, studying how best to handle it. But help me out here. If you have an IPO of something that's at a certain price, by the way, SBET through 13 now. If you have an IPO that's at a certain price when it's supposed to open it, and they keep raising that opening price because so many people are bidding it up. Wouldn't you expect there with how much of a difference between the IPO price and what it's going for would be kind of bearish? Like, you think there'd be profit taking down to where the IPO price is?
Yeah, you're thinking too many people bought this too early and we're due for a pullback there. Totally. But I mean, like, the one thing is that's a wild card, 13, because we heard, or at least I did, maybe my information's garbage, I don't know, but I heard that around the CoreWeave IPO that it wasn't as hot. They actually reduced the size a little bit. Well, we all know what CoreWeave did. Maybe part of that is because since there was less in the IPO, there was actually an appetite for it, and then those people ended up driving up the price. In this case with Anduril, perhaps it could work in the opposite direction, and that's something I want to avoid, right? Like, I don't want them to have such a huge offering that everybody gets it and then the price just melts from the IPO. That would suck. It would suck. Gotcha. I don't know what's going to happen though. I'm excited. That's much I can tell you.
SBET 1370, by the way.
Shayla Vega mentioning QCOM. That continuing here. Okay, this is curling back up a little bit. See if we can get above this area, which was former support and resistance. Qualcomm really want to get a break above this 160, get us into a 170 handle. Oracle was the big earnings winner from last week. How's that doing here? Hey, look at this. Oh my. We pulled back right from the fib extension level that we drew last week. Now, I know this is a very minor pullback here, but good Lord. Look at that. Literally almost to a penny. Oh.
The fib extension, that was the only one that I think would have worked. Because I don't know what else was telling us where it would go.
Do you even fib, bro?
Yeah.
That's a wild chart right there. No position on Oracle, though.
Qualcomm does have a nice uptrend. And since you're looking at it, looks like it really is trying to get back over that 200-day SMA. Been struggling all year with that. The question is, will SBET retrace? I'd imagine it would.
SkyQ retraced, by the way. So anyone that is actually able to make money in that good stuff, hopefully it didn't chase. OKLO, this came back in, popped above the VWAP, and then gave it up again. Volume is continuing to contract here. We get this continuing pattern here with less and less volume on OKLO. I think I like it less and less for an intraday trade here.
I mean, if SBET does come back in, I'd be leaning on some of those levels we were putting in earlier. You got that 1265 and the 1250 level and the 200 EMA. Those are all going to, and VWAP, those are all going to be support areas. Jeez, Robert. Jeez.
4,000% on Oracle. Oh. We said when that pop happened, we said it was the option buyers that really won that one because it just moved so well.
SRM from this morning, not looking really that great. I think we could see maybe another move over 5 briefly, but it's looking pretty bearish to me. If we can't get back over that VWAP and hold above it, I think we are going to see this resolve lower. And we are at 1034, so we should be seeing some volume leave this market. People are going to go talk about all the wonderful stuff they did with SBET this morning. Space names still looking really good. Looks like we have another one that's turning down. That's MNTS, Momentous. All the other ones are up today.
Sorry, looking through Twitter here to see if there's anything I can see.
You seen you're looking for 17 in SBET? I don't know. I mean, we have seen this one make some pretty wild moves intraday, so I don't think it would be out of the question that it could do something like that. But maybe later on, once once the lunch hour is gone, it might trade better. Don't know for a fact. Just pointing out that we have seen a lot of these names trade better in the afternoon.
Okay, don't see anything crazy yet.
SRM is not done, Sismoke Tuna. No, I'm saying I think we could see another move over 5 before we start bringing on that risk of it going lower.
Would love to get a launch through that VWAP at 522.
Yeah. Is he saying SONM from 177 going? Okay, so you pretty much got it underneath the VWAP.
We do have some breaking news. It's not important though. Joey Chestnut will return to the hot dog eating contest for July 4th.
All right, so what's the Oscar Mayer play there?
The play for me is what's the Pepto-Bismol play, man? I can't even watch. Competitive eating. As someone that loves food, I can't even watch competitive eating. It's just
GLP-1 companies start to shiver. Anyway, SONM. This is pushing up to 2. It's over 2 now. Trying to take out some of these highs from the regular session here. High of the regular session is 214.
SONM, yeah, 214. That's that level that it needs to get over.
And
long
here's
dogs.
and here's
Web coin.
here's the move with SRM that we were looking for. So looking like this might go up into the 560s, but yeah, I still think that if it cannot get higher than that, this thing's coming back in, and it will be, it'll come back in pretty hard. Okay, then I think Izzy, you want to look at KMB. I think that's the one. Double check and make sure.
Yeah, Bigabees, I saw this. Bigabees, the USS Nimitz, a U.S. nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, has departed the South China Sea and is heading westward towards the Middle East, according to ship tracking data. I did see that. I don't know what I think about that. I'll marinate on it a little bit. Honestly, I really don't want the U.S. military to get involved in this thing in the Middle East. Then I would agree with Lion. We might see some more move down here. I'd like that to just not be the case, though.
Yeah, so there you go, Izzy. KMB is the one you want for toilet paper. Or one of them, anyway.
German Chancellor Merz at the G7, which I guess isn't that what's going on in Canada right now? Europeans will suggest a communique that Iran cannot possess nuclear weapons. Israel has right to defend itself. German Chancellor, do not see Putin playing a role in solving Iran-Israel tensions. Yeah, he tried. It didn't go well.
Yeah, he did so well with Syria, right?
I was going to say, it didn't go well. That one's not a shocker there.
SBET 14 now.
Let me go back to SBET. You know what? This is my own fault. I continue to take this off the screen, and I continue to be punished as it continues to move higher.
Speaking of continuing to move higher and getting punished, RGC unhalted popped up to 83.60. We were talking about $83 as the pre-market high, and then it started coming back in. Now I don't know if this is done or if it's going to push higher, but if we were looking at that $83 spot as an exit, you got out and you did really well. Yes, that's right, Mike. China does need Iranian oil. I believe 90% of what Iran makes and processes is sent to China. The other 10% gets distributed around the world. So, yeah, that's peak performance right there, Ryan.
I'm sorry?
I see he's not seeing it. Look at it.
Oh, God, the Joey Chestnut. The producer's just laying one on me. I mean, it's just, I'm not going to make it full screen because it's just so gross. Look, and here's the other thing. Like, I like a good hot dog. Like, I'm not even so much of a health nut where I'm like, no hot dogs. But like 70 of them? Like, dude, I'm good.
All right, so SRM still making its way up. Still looking at. I'm still thinking around 560 could be where it runs into trouble. So we'll see if that's the case or not.
And yeah, Smoked Tuna, the whole thing with offerings there. I mean, the thought is that the offering, the money that they get from the offering, you would hope that they're going to dump it back into the business. So it makes sense to buy the offering. Sometimes that's why we see that as well. I guess unless it's Mullen. But anyway, with you on that one. Just rather not sit through offerings. I'd rather the companies have the cash.
All right, there it is with SRM. It just went through the areas I was looking at, got to just under 6. Now the question is, does it pull off here, or does it continue to rip higher and beat that 670 high that we made this morning?
Yeah, Fairchild. The whole idea of eating contests is this. I'm with you, and I'm someone that loves food, and I don't get the contest angle of it. I'm with you on that one. Try eating 70 of those Chicago-style hot dogs. Those things are packed with toppings. Dude, I'm telling you, the sport peppers, probably more than anything else, are what are going to slow you down. Are you trading RGC at all, 13? To me, that's been a hands-off one for me.
No,
yeah, okay. I was going to say, Craig, by the way, this is Craig Smart, C-R-E-G, excuse me. This is Smart Power with 2 R's, just to make sure you didn't get enough power there. This thing was a penny stock, ramped here on volume into a halt. I don't see any news on this one, but this penny stock, now dollar stock, ramped up here, halted.
Oh, nice stuff, Robert. So Oracle's not his best trade. It was Nike puts.
Sassy Butterfly Chick, enjoy Niagara Falls. That is an awesome spot. Take care of yourself.
Take care. Ketchup belongs on hot dogs?
No, it doesn't. That's false.
What?
That's incorrect. I'm from Chicago. That is completely incorrect. You do not put ketchup on a hot dog. That is first of all, ketchup's disgusting. Not if we really want to fight, ketchup is nasty. And don't come back at me with the ketchup. They're both nasty. A hot dog is good. Like there's so many. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. We keep talking about food on this show, and I'm dying.
Hey,
Focus on stocks here.
Thanks for that, Steve. We appreciate it. I'm glad that you're here with us.
Oh, here we go. Well, we just started to fight.
Yeah, that's okay. Y'all have fun.
There are people on both sides of this one.
I just know that when you dip into some barbecue sauce, you're eating ketchup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't eat a whole lot of barbecue sauce either.
I do.
It's a ET3. It's okay, Ryan. We're all wrong sometimes. Heart. That's a very, very PC way of handling that. Jack Mock says, I have heartburn. I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to do that to you today.
Chaos. We use, they use real tomatoes, but they also like to throw a bunch of other crap in it too.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's KHC. That's the one, right? Is that moving on our discussion?
Kraft Heinz.
Yeah.
I like actually went to go pull that up and was like, shouldn't have done that.
This is redder than some of the ketchup you can buy from them.
Take that, dude. By the way, DWSN, Dawson's Creek here, going down the creek as this retests the lows. We're probably going to break and go back to where we were on Friday. And SkyQ, how are we doing here? Right back down.
And SRM is pulling off. Don't know if we're going to be selling off here for sure yet, but still thinking this looks bearish. It did get that massive move over 6, taking it up to 640. I'm sorry, 639. Pulling off of it now, still holding above VWAP.
Yeah, I actually love this. Brad, mustard and onions only. This is actually my favorite. Put a little celery salt on that. That's where it's at.
I like onions and mustard.
Yeah, chili too sometimes. I'm with you on that. Chili dogs.
If we're going to agree on a condiment, can at least be onions. Yeah,
I mean, okay. Yeah. No argument for me. Onions are good, fresh, grilled, butter, oil. It don't matter. Oh, by the way, so interestingly enough, my friend makes vegan chili that I actually like more than regular chili, and it is excellent on hot dogs. I know some of you might be saying you put vegan chili on a hot dog. What's the matter with you? Still better than ketchup. Okay. I'm going to start a fight today, I think.
That would be a great shirt, though. It says F ketchup. Then you just walk down the street and try to start all the fights you can.
In Chicago, I wouldn't get many. I'd probably get pats on the back.
Film yourself doing that, too. Chili and cheese. You can't go wrong there either.
QCOM should be good through earnings. Thank you, Shayla Vega, for talking about stocks and not food. I blame myself. Let's see what we have here real quick for earnings. Recent one was the end of April, so we don't get earnings till the end of July here.
Starting to get a big pull in SBET, coming down to 13.
This company normally beats too. I think it'll depend on what the bar is here for QCOM. We're breaking a downtrend, aren't we?
Might be.
Oh, yeah, basically, we peaked above it. We are at a pretty interesting area here.
I could go for poking out to see if the coast is clear. All right, SRM, still above VWAP, but pulling off of that high. See what we started?
It's just, here's the thing about this though, like we start some of these things and I think of like how it's going to go, and the chat always makes it go in a more enjoyable direction. Like I did not have on my bingo card Fairchild telling us that his mom put peanut butter on her hot dogs. And Brian, instead of being a smartass, says, I'm just sorry you had to deal with that, because this would have been my response. It's just I didn't have any of this. On the docket here today.
You know what might be interesting with because I jokingly brought up KHC over the whole ketchup argument. This actually looks kind of bearish. Like we just lost. Let's see. Earlier this last month, I think we just lost a parallel channel that it was trading down in since 2021. So this looks like it could certainly go lower.
Do we consider this a consumer staple?
I don't know. Maybe we could. I don't know. It's because it's it's in the condiment business.
Yeah.
But you have there's other things that they have too. Like Oscar. This is if you're going to do the Joey. This is the hot dog eating thing. This is the one you would play. But so maybe it would be consumer staples because of the other food products they have. I would say it is.
I'll tell you what. This made a move higher from last July 4th. Good Lord, this thing bottomed on July 4th. That's got to be coincidence. There's no way. The year prior, it looks like it bounced a little bit. Boy, we might have to ask Tom about seasonality for this.
Yeah.
And just to see if there's anything coming up here, because the last 2 years, the last year was actually a pretty good move off that.
Yeah, the seasonality for this one would be interesting. But it just looks like I think it still is going to go lower just based on what I'm seeing here. I mean, maybe there's support around 25, but I wouldn't be surprised if we continued lower than that.
I'm going to check in on this. Maybe I'll have something for you on this tomorrow, because now at least I know we were joking about this, but now I actually have a serious angle on this that I'm going to investigate, and I'll give you an answer on that tomorrow.
There was a question I wanted to answer about Lockheed.
Yeah, it's Levy, I think, right?
Why would it be down? Well, I thought it would have gone up. Well, with the easing tensions, it's going to likely take some of these defense plays lower. Also with Lockheed, last week it had a big rebound off of the 440 area, and it went all the way up to almost 490. Pretty big move in a few days. So I think it just maybe just needed to cool off, and cooling off combined with the easing tensions between Israel and Iran, I think you're just getting like a combination of things that are pulling it down.
So really quick here, it's worth noting that the move down here started before we got the headline about the easing tensions. However, I still think it was the easing tensions, because as Jay was discussing earlier, we actually got hat tipped to this last night. From the opening of the futures market to the news that was coming out to the comments that Trump was making. We had a number of things that kind of told us this was the way things are going to go. So I'm really unsurprised to see that. Now, once we did get that headline, that basically confirmed at 13. So maybe we do get a pullback here. It's also worth noting that we kind of put in a technical double top here on 492, 493. I know we're just looking at an intraday chart, but you're right. If we go back to the daily chart here, this did move pretty ferociously off the low. So, and on this, on the conflict going on. So,
I didn't see that double top. That's absolutely great pointing it out. Also, what's interesting is that these double tops occurred in extended hours trading, not in regular sessions. So somebody doesn't want the burden of the volume in the market to get in the way. It just wants to be able to take these up and do whatever it wants with it in the after hours and pre-market. Easier to push around in those at those time frames. Andrew Earl may eat all the lunches. It could eat a whole bunch of them.
Now, as far as you guys talking about Joe talking about SPY pulling back here, someone had asked earlier about pivot points. And we don't have persons pivots in TradingView, do we? No, we don't.
You could just pivot point standard. I know that there's other platforms that use pivot points.
So you know what though? This will work though. You know what? This will work because I've got the R2. Interesting. So we have the market currently. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. We have the market currently running up into the resistance 2 pivot or the R2 pivot. On my other chart that I use persons pivots on, it's doing the exact same thing. SPY is running up to that same R2 pivot, and it's finding some resistance there. So, Joe, just looking at the pivot points here, I'm actually going to turn this off because there's a ton. I wonder if there's a way I can edit this.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yes.
that SONM is getting a pump right now because they're trying to keep it above VWAP. So thank you, Izzy, for pointing that out. Regarding the pivots, they've been so hit or miss for me. Sometimes you get a super solid reversal off of those pivot points, and other times they just are absolutely meaningless. And I think it really does come down to the type of broker you're using, because they're going to have different pivot points across all the different brokers.
So I cleaned up this pivot study a little bit, just to basically give me the actual pivot and then the 2 support and 2 resistance levels. And this looks identical to the person. I'll leave this here on the chart, and I'll just basically hide it and show it as we need. This actually does look like a spot to move down from. Here's what I would caution you with, Dojo. If we don't start breaking down, this is actually going to get tested to the upside again. And we do have that at about 604.5. So just take it with a grain of salt. I'll leave this pivot chart on here, though.
Here's where I think the pivot points work the best. When you're getting either a rally or a sell-off in the stock, and it's got the volume for it, and it's heading right for one of those pivot points, that is going to probably be a likely spot where you can trade the reversal. That's what the pivot points have really worked the best for me on. So if you get the volume, and it's going to cause the price to, if it hits a pivot point, to be really extended away from some of its moving averages. That's when I've noticed that pivot points really work best, is when you really get these high volume, extended moves away. Those are those spots where you could see the reversal occur.
Okay. Good stuff there.
Other times that they've not really worked well for me.
Has anyone seen any crazy option activity yet today? I've been kind of glancing at my unusual option scanner here, but I haven't seen anything that's really stuck out to me today.
SGMT. This was one that was getting mentioned earlier. Don't think it's one we covered, but this is getting mentioned earlier. This thing is just not having a great time right now. Just getting sold off, going down to Friday's lows, where it may end up getting a bounce. It looks like even the pre-market on Friday, the 750 area was also a support area. So watch and see if we get some support from this 750 to 775 area. Maybe it turns around, trades better.
Okay. Be honest with you guys, this is a pretty good Monday. Pretty good Monday here. I know it's early, so I don't want to get too early of a call here, but a pretty good Monday early on. How's TEM doing? That's one that we've been following a lot. TEM holding here about $73. Tell you what, that was a great long off the Spruce Point short report. Rocket Lab and Astus calls going off right now.
Nice.
The ASTS calls, this is a 240,000. You know what, though? Those are probably, that's closing trends. That's got to be a profit taking right there. Unless they're selling those calls, which I don't think so. What's NVIDIA doing here? Who asked about Marvell last week? This actually looks like it's flashing a move higher here, maybe 80 if it ends up breaking this. And we have a potential, we talked about this one, we have a potential gap fill up here at 89 on Marvell. Someone asked me about this last week. I can't place it though. Good looking chart here today. Amazon GPU rumor, is he? What? I don't see it here unless I missed it.
I see data center expansion in Australia. I think that's older news, though.
Oh, here we go. Thank you for tweeting it. Wolf, every time I don't know who this account is, but interesting. CNBC's David Faber, who's on TV right now talking about Meta. Anyway, David Faber here says he's hearing of talk of GPU win from Amazon Web Services, but has not received confirmation. So it seems like that's a rumor there.
RGC.
That's a good spot, Izzy. That's a really good mention. Really, really good. Thank you for tweeting that to me too. Good mention there. I don't see anything yet. I can't confirm it, but I'll keep an eye out.
All right, look at ASTS again. Having trying to hold above 42, but it looks like this thing is going to go lower. Look at this chart here. Well, if it can hold above 41, then there's a chance I think it can go higher. But I think that's going to be the spot to watch for. This 41 is the high out of the gate on Friday. SRM still trying to figure out if it's going to do a breakout or breakdown. Hey, no problem, Mike.
Seeing another live report of more new explosions in Tehran.
Guess you need more convincing.
Electric.co tweeting that Tesla Robotaxi launch is a dangerous game of smoke and mirrors. You know what? I actually might read that article just so I can be informed. I'm just reading the headline, and I don't like making judgments off headlines. That's how you really look like a moron. So let me save this one for when we get off here, but that might be something. I'm just curious on how this Robotaxi thing is going. Yeah, and you guys are right on that. Buy the rumor, sell the news there on Amazon. Amazon does look like it actually wants to push higher out of 215. Not sure if it's going to do that here. But to your point there, maybe a buy the rumor, sell the news. Okay, 13, we are.
Oh,
we
the fun's already over?
I came in today being like, there's not a whole lot of news like on the wire. I hope we have a good time today. And we did.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any new trades here today, but the stuff that I'm holding from last week is working. Voyager might be coming back here a little bit. The daily chart's starting to look okay. Ondas got a new order. Portillo's is working. So this is not a terrible day. 13, why don't you give the group here some closing words, maybe some dad advice post Father's Day?
Dad advice. No, not going to give any dad advice. All I'm going to say is it's been a fun morning with everybody. I hope we have some more fun like this tomorrow. We found some pretty good movers today, made some pretty good trades, and I'm looking forward to doing it all over again with y'all. So I'll be back here tomorrow. Hope to see you then, and we'll find some of these things to trade. We'll trade and make some money. How about that? Take care, folks. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Sounds really good. Fairchild says a good week is incoming. 13, I'm all for that. I sign up for that right now. All right, take care of yourself, 13. Really good stuff here today. Really quickly, someone was asking me, where is that? Orion 13, are you guys selling into this rip? I'll handle that real quick. I am not yet. I'm not selling because we're ripping. I would sell things because they move to my target. So if Ondas moves above 2, I'll look into that. If Voyager moves above 60, I'll look into that. But I'm not selling just because we're up here today. Nonetheless, folks, really good start to the week here. Thanks very much. I'm really excited about Tom, our new guest here from this morning. This is going to be awesome. I really look forward to bringing you more seasonality type trades, another tool in our toolbox here. So really, really excited about that. Good start to the week. We're going to be back here again tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, stay